be his coach. So anywho,
Used to be his coach. He used to be
Ryan Tannehill's coach. He was an interim coach, Dan Campbell. Joe Philbin got fired from the Dolphins in 2015. They put in Dan Campbell, the tight ends coach. His first game was at Nissan Stadium against Ken Wisenhunt and the Titans. They blew him out by about 500. So, anywho, I do want to start on this today, though. John Robinson. Now, I was talking to Chase and Joe before, Big Joe, before we came on, and I was talking about how John Robinson, it's so funny about general manager or coach. For instance, in the middle of a hockey playoff series or before the divisional round of the playoffs in the NFL, who matters more, coach or GM? Obviously, it's the coach because the coach is making decisions for that game. Around the draft or free agency, who matters more, coach or GM? GM. And this is the time of year where they both matter probably equally because they have to work together the most to say, okay, we want to keep Johnny, but we don't want to keep Joey. And then the coach says, well, I don't have a use for Joey, so they both are important. And John Robinson, unlike Vrabel, does not have to meet with the media every single day. So John Robinson was a part of the SiriusXM NFL tour, and he gave a lot of different updates about the team. But when I heard him talk about the wide receivers, I almost kind of chuckled a little bit because it kind of makes me feel what I've seen out of the wide receivers at Titans camp, which is I love Robert Woods. I think Nick Westbrook-Akina has taken a step forward. I think Treylon Burks, in spite of all the things that are being said on social media about Treylon Burks, Treylon Burks is playing fine. I like Treylon Burks. I think he's doing okay. I think Racey McMath has been very impressive. I think Kyle Phillips looks like he'll be on the team and fit the role that they want him to fit. And then all the other guys make some plays here and there, and I like that. So John Robinson was asked about wide receiver, and again, there has been all this talk about the Titans and wide receiver, especially since they traded A.J. Brown. And the little shot John Robinson takes here, I think really lets you into his thinking. This was John Robinson on the SiriusXM NFL training camp tour.
Yeah, I think that group's doing a great job. You know, the sky was falling before we started training camp, but, those guys that have came in, they put the work in. From Robert Woods to Burks to Westbrook to Phillips. I mean, go down the line with all of them. They've all made plays in this training camp. I'm excited to watch those guys coupled with the tight ends that we've added, the passing targets for Ryan and the quarterback group. And they're doing a really nice job.
You hear that little shot he took at the beginning?
I don't know.
Play it again, Ian, if we can.
Yeah, I think that group's doing a great job. The sky was falling before we started training camp.
Stop.
Oh,
You hear that?
the sky was falling.
So what's funny is with Robinson, a lot of the answers, whenever he's asked a question, John Robinson, I feel like, always just says generic dribble, right? Like,
Says a lot without saying anything.
how important is it in order to, you mean the opposite? No. Yeah.
Says
Says
a lot
talks a
without
lot, but
talks a
doesn't
lot
say
without
anything.
saying
Yeah.
anything.
It's like, how do you feel about the way that Caleb Farley's like, he's had some good ones here and there. He's done some things here and there. Just whatever.
Great
but that
teammate,
little
great
shot,
guy. Happy to have him in the locker room.
but that shot he took about the wide receivers, about the sky was falling, that was, to me, that was a shot at every naysayer. And I can't remember if we were naysayers or not, but everybody who panicked about the wide receivers, especially with the Burke stuff and the offseason program.
Which were all legitimate concerns at the time.
Sure.
About Treylon Burks.
But the reason that shot was important to me is not Robinson takes a shot or Robinson. John Robinson feels comfortable enough about the wide receivers right now
To crack jokes.
to be able to take a flex. And so the true tell is that John Robinson has watched these receivers. To his point, he named them Woods, Burks, Westbrook, Phillips. I'd throw McMath in there because I think McMath has been awesome in training camp. And John Robinson feels comfortable enough to take a flex. So I will say that not only did he say positive things about them, but I think he truly feels good about the wide receiving core of the Titans. Now, do we? Woods, Burks, Westbrook-Akina, McMath, Phillips. I think those five have made the team. And then all the other guys, whether it's Terry Godwin or Des Fitzpatrick or Reggie Robertson or
Josh
whomever.
Malone.
Do you feel good about the Titans wide receivers after 2 weeks of training camp?
I feel fine. I'm not going into the season concerned about the wide receiver group. I mean, am I doing cartwheels about the wide receiver group? Probably not. No, but I feel fine about it. I feel good about it.
Is that the same as how you felt going into camp?
Much more optimistic than I felt going into camp, because I think I had questions about Robert Woods, coming off of an ACL tear.
Sure.
I didn't think that he would look as good or be as healthy as I assume that he is, the way that he's been playing in training camp. I didn't expect that in August. Whenever the Titans acquired Robert Woods, I didn't expect him to be able to make a significant difference until like October. So I had questions about Robert Woods, and what I've seen so far in training camp has eased those concerns. Treylon Burks, we talked about it all offseason. I think those were very, very fair concerns because we hadn't seen really much positive, if any positive at all, from Treylon Burks.
He hadn't gotten through a practice.
So I think it's impossible to not feel better about the wide receiver group than we did going into training camp. So yeah, I feel much better now. And but that's not to say that I think that this is one of the top wide receiver cores in the NFL. But I don't think the Titans need them to be. I think they're fine. I feel fine about it.
So I feel the same way John Robinson does, which is you feel fine. I feel better than that. I feel good, and maybe I am just drinking the camp Kool-Aid. And there have been a lot of times over the last couple of days and really the last week, where I get worried if I drink in too much camp Kool-Aid, too much Titan Bobo over here I truly believe. And whether or not this is a creation of the new Tannehill, which Joe Rexrode said this morning he doesn't believe in, I do believe that Robert Woods is going to be a perfect fit for this wide receiver group. I think he's going to be like Corey Davis, but more consistent. The Titans can rely on him more than they could rely on Davis, because every time there was a big moment, Davis hurt a hamstring or got concussed or whatever. I think that Treylon Burks is coming along. I'm not ready to say that Treylon Burks is going to win the Rookie of the Year award, but I really do feel good about Burks. I think Burks has been, considering what we were worried about coming into training camp, I think Burks has answered all the questions. I think McMath, the thing about McMath is that he gives them something they didn't have last year, and that's the deep ball. Now, they tried a little bit with Westbrook-Akina. They tried a little bit with Julio, and Tannehill's not a great deep ball thrower. He's not as bad as Marcus, but he's not a great deep ball thrower. But in their 2019 playoff run, they hit 2 huge deep balls. One against the Colts in the regular season after Thanksgiving that broke that game open, and one to Khalif Raymond that gave him a 14-point lead at Baltimore in the divisional round of the playoffs. They need a deep threat, and McMath gives them that. Phillips has come along nicely. I believe that he's got the slot characteristics that they drafted him for. I think he's got, and I think Westbrook-Akina is the perfect plug him in wherever you want him. He knows all the routes. He knows all the plays, and Tannehill trusts him. That leaves one spot for somebody else. I don't know who it's going to be. Not sure I care who it's going to be, because they're not going to play guys outside of those 5 unless they have to. And other guys will be practice squad or whatever. And I feel like everybody has a role on this team, that they all have a role. That Woods is going to be the high-volume guy. Burks is going to be the give him the ball and let him go with it guy. That McMath is going to be the deep ball guy. Phillips is going to be the shifty slot guy. And then, who'd I leave out? Westbrook-Akina is going to be the plug him in wherever and ask him to do whatever. He's not going to be great at anything, but he's going to be solid at whatever they ask him to do. And I think that this quarterback, given the circumstances, needs that reliability. So I do feel like John Robinson feels. And again, maybe it's Camp Kool-Aid. I don't know. But I feel how John Robinson feels, which is not the, how do you feel about it, John? I feel good. Made some good plays here, made some good plays there. No, I think they're doing a good job. In fact, everybody was saying the sky was falling. Media.
Okay, John.
Twitter. Everybody was saying.
That is a very bold statement to make, though. Before the season's even started.
That's my point. That's how comfortable
bold.
he feels.
That is bold.
That's how comfortable he feels. That's why I'm starting the show off with it, because John Robinson very rarely gives tells. I mean, he's not as good as Vrabel is at saying nothing. He's not as good as Floyd was at making me feel and making the audience feel like they were hearing something when in reality they were hearing nothing. John's not good at that. It's pretty obvious with John when he doesn't say anything. It's pretty obvious. Because it's obvious when he doesn't say something, to me, it's obvious when he does say something. And in this case, it's that John feels comfortable about the wide receivers. And when I say feels comfortable about the wide receivers, I believe he's talking about the wide receivers who are going to play this year. Because, again, the Reggie Robertsons, the Terry Godwins, and I'm not saying those guys don't matter because last year they had Cody Hollister playing in a game in New England. And so injuries will happen, and John does need to know about the depth in the practice squad and the who matters here and who matters there. But as far as who he thinks is going to be on the field for Tannehill this year, I think he feels pretty good about it. Let's get your phones in on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I don't know how this Treylon Burks stuff got going. We addressed it a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, this is some tea.
I almost feel the need to discuss it again. I almost feel the need to ask, how did this happen? So we will discuss the Treylon Burks drama, because as somebody who goes to training camp a lot, I don't see it. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
Is brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman and Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations: Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
presented by TriStar Moving,
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, starting with Treylon, a guy who came in and didn't get a lot of work in the spring, just some things he was dealing with. And then, now coming out in training camp, from day one, he's made plays for me. So it's been exciting for me. Didn't really know, saw the college shapes, watched the film, but didn't really know because I hadn't seen it with my own eyes per se. So to come out here and hit a deep ball first play and our first day, and then he's consistently, making plays for me. Is it perfect? No. Are we growing, through the process? There's still adjustments, that we're cleaning up. Yeah, of course. But seeing that athleticism, seeing that range, and speed. He's running by some people too. So I've seen a lot of really good things out of him. Hopefully we can just keep the foot on the gas and keep him progressing.
That was Ryan Tannehill talking about Traylon Burks, and yet apparently there's some national scare or outrage, or I don't know what to call it. There's like some national fear about what is wrong with Traylon Burks. First of all, excuse me. The national fear is, what is wrong with Traylon Burks? Because they don't call him Traylon.
It's Traylon.
Traylon. Yeah. What is wrong with Traylon Burks? And I don't know where this came from.
I believe it came from a Mike Herndon tweet that got completely misinterpreted and twisted into something that was not true. Mike Herndon tweeted out, his training camp.
Who works for Kaharski.
Yes.
So next time that we see Paul at practice, we need to yell at Paul. Because
Look
Mike
at what
Herndon,
you did.
Well, because Paul would yell at us.
Of course.
Paul gets mad about everything. I had to apologize for something. Never mind. Go ahead.
So Mike Herndon tweeted out his training camp takeaways, and I'm trying to pull up the exact tweet, but essentially said, Logan
Woodside, third team.
Logan was playing with the second and third team. Logan Woodside, yelled at him for not lining up correctly, and Rob Moore was yelling at him for not running through the route. And then that was taken as he's only taking reps with the second and third teams. He's running incorrect routes, and the coaching staff is unhappy with him. So it was completely taken out of context and twisted into this now, over-exaggerated story that's on NBC Sports Edge.
I would love to bitch about this. I would love
I'm
for there to
surprised
be.
we haven't done it more.
I would love for there to be some kind of Traylon Burks drama that I could get on the show and be like, oh no! Oh, they traded A.J. Brown. This guy freaking sucks. Oh no! And we definitely had that during minicamp. Right?
We had that for a good bit of the summer before training camp.
So this is, again...
The panic button wasn't pressed, but your hand was hovering.
It was pressed.
It was hovering.
It was pressed. We like to press it around here.
Yeah, we do.
So...
We probably prematurely press a panic button.
So, I would love for this to be a thing. Would love for it to be a thing. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
It was a thing. I'm there. Apparently, Field Yates said that...
Field Yates said Robert Woods might be the most underrated fantasy pickup because Traylon Burks isn't going to get any looks.
Sure. Which we will talk about that, too. What Field Yates said. I like Field.
I like Field. Yeah, don't say
Field's
it like that.
always been good to me. He's...
But that just goes to show whenever something is misinterpreted and then it's put out there by all of these national networks and all these outlets, it's going to continue to just steamroll into something, and it's not the truth whatsoever.
So I'll put it to you like this. I'm not going to go like, oh, the national media doesn't know because they're not here. Well, they're not, and they don't come here, so I'm not going to
I'm
expect
not saying
them to
that, but I'm
be
saying
here
they just
one way or
reported
another.
something that was blatantly wrong.
But I would say that this is getting a little out of hand. In my opinion, I think it is out of hand. In fact, Gentry asked us, I tweeted out today, I was like, where did this Traylon Burks stuff come from? I'm like, of course Traylon Burks is playing with the second and the third team in practice because on Thursday, which would be tomorrow, I expect Traylon Burks to be on the football field, and I don't expect Ryan Tannehill to be out there. And so if he's going to play in a game where they're going to hit him, wouldn't you want him, or I know I would want him, to get some reps from the quarterbacks that he's going to be around? And so that is true, that he was getting reps at practice with the second and third team. That is true.
To be completely fair, I don't think that he's the first rookie to get reps with second and third team in training camp.
So I saw the Falcons put out their depth chart. Now, it did not say on it that it was an unofficial depth chart, but I never heard of the first guy. It's like Kadarius, or I forget the guy's name. I never heard of this guy that was first string on the Falcons depth chart. So this is not new. But the fear factor of Burks, I would say this. I think Robert Woods is the number one receiver of the Titans. I think Robert Woods will catch the ball the most. I think Robert Woods will have the most yards.
Daryl Hodge.
There you go.
Yep.
Never heard of that guy. Ever. Never. And so I think Traylon Burks Robert Woods will be the number one guy. I think Traylon Burks will be the number two guy of the Titans. And I feel very confident in saying that. In fact, I think that it is more likely that the Titans will get highlight plays from Burks this season than it is any other receiver that they have. Like when I just watch them play football, I think that Burks has the most talent of any wide receiver on the team. Like the most pure, raw talent. And so he's going to play. Right now, I'm not sure I can divulge this, but I feel like I have to quash kind of the narrative that's come out here. Like right now, Nick Westbrook-Akina is on the unofficial depth chart. I could say that. Nick Westbrook-Akina is starting on the unofficial depth chart.
But I feel like that's done all the time. With it's the rookie guy, and if you
Has
put
to earn
him
his spot.
first, he has to earn his spot. And if I'm Nick Westbrook-Akina, I'm saying, well, what the heck is he doing ahead of me on the depth chart when he's done nothing?
Although I think Nick Westbrook-Akina will understand next week when Traylon Burks is
not now.
Inserted into the starting lineup.
Not now.
I mean, Nick Westbrook-Akina knew it when he was drafted. Like when Burks was drafted, Nick Westbrook-Akina knew that Burks was going to play over him.
Well, yes.
And
but,
so Burks is
the
going to play
idea
over.
of putting him above him on the unofficial depth chart.
I just want every Titan fan out there to know I am not Johnny Homer that's telling you that Burks is doing nothing wrong at practice and that the national guys are out to get the Titans. I'm not here to have that. I'm here to tell you that Traylon Burks is doing a good job.
Yeah.
He's not flawless. He hasn't been as good as McCreary, for instance, at training camp, though McCreary's kind of fallen off since he had that 5-pass breakup day, although McCreary's a dog. But Burks is fine. He's fine. And again, I expect him to be the second receiver of the Titans, with Robert Woods being number 1. And I think that Traylon Burks will make the most highlight reel plays for the Titans if he stays healthy. And all the panicking that I was doing about the being out of shape and being overweight, which Burks could still use a full season in the NFL where they are watching his weight on a daily basis, and then a real good offseason where he's learned how to be a pro like Mac Jones had with the Patriots with his body. Burks could really use that going into year 2. But he's going to play this year, and he's fine. He's fine. I think his attitude is fine. I think the way he's played in practice, I dropped some here. There was one that he dropped last week, maybe on Friday, where Tannehill threw the ball, and he wasn't looking for it until it was too late, and he's going to have to learn to not do that because if it's a 3rd and 6 against the Raiders in the second week of the season, people aren't going to like that.
You need to be open now.
But Burks is fine. He's fine. So this weird national discussion about Traylon Burks, I'm not buying. Now, I saw that DraftKings, I believe it was, had Traylon Burks as the leader in the clubhouse to lead rookie receivers in receiving yards. I'm not ready to go there for this season.
And that's another thing is let's not forget that this is still going to be a run-first offense.
Bingo.
Let's not forget that I don't think that the Titans necessarily want to keep the ball in Tannehill's hands. I think that, at least so far this season, so far in training camp, Tannehill does look better. You still got Derrick Henry out there.
So apparently Gentry Estes had to write a column about this. So I tweeted today, like, where did this Traylon Burks stuff come from? And Gentry tweeted, and Gentry texted me. What did he text me? I feel like I can read this on the air. Gentry said that he tries not to push back on every little bit of negative info that gets out there this time of year, but the Burks stuff really has been like, what? And that's how I feel about the Burks stuff.
Yeah.
He wrote a column, did Gentry, about Burks at the Tennessean, and the headline of the column was about this, this negativity that's surrounding Traylon Burks and how absolutely ridiculous it is. And all I can say is I think everybody knows I am so conscious of being a homer. Like being a true
I think sometimes
water
you're overly
carrying,
conscious.
Just freaking
Bobo.
In the satchel for the team level Bobo. I'm so afraid of it. And I like the team. And I think the team likes me. I think it's a love-hate relationship both ways. I like the team. Team likes me. I like Vrabel. I think Vrabel likes me. The team drives me nuts. Vrabel drives me nuts. I'm sure I drive them nuts too.
Can't live with him.
I think that is a relationship between me and the Titans, and I'm okay with it. But what's being reported about how Burks hasn't been good in training camp, or that there's a red flag, or that it would be like Isaiah Wilson, who in his first training camp couldn't get on the field, wasn't totally in shape, was with the second team, needed time, or Dylan Radins last year Needed time. Traylon Burks does not need time. Traylon Burks is ready. Traylon Burks will play week 1 against the Giants, barring injury, and Traylon Burks will get the football thrown his way. And he will be the number 2 receiver of the Titans. Robert Woods, number 1. Traylon Burks, number 2. Derrick Henry at running back. Austin Hooper at tight end. And, whomever you want. I would assume Westbrook-Ikhine would be the 5th eligible guy in that group. They'll rotate that person in, but Burks will play. There is no reason to be worried whatsoever at all about Traylon Burks. And let's not kid ourselves, audience. Who would be the first person that you all listen to that would tell you if it was time to even be remotely petrified about Traylon Burks?
That would be you.
Me! And I'm not feeling that way. 615-737-1025. We will get to your phone. 615-737-1025 on the Titans receivers. Again, John Robinson feels good about the receivers, and the national media feels bad about Traylon Burks. 615-737-1025. Field Yates did say something very trying to think of the right word to say. Complimentary of Robert Woods. I want to get to it because I do think there's some weight in it, so we'll do that next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game is bringing you Nashville's best coverage of Titans training camp presented by Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution.
This is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Feeds now Sissons coming on from the left circle, and Colton Sissons puts it in the net.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willie Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints, restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Race fans, Nashville's legendary racetrack, the Fairgrounds Speedway, features their back-to-school family night coming up August 13th. Awesome racing action with the Pro Late Model 100, the Outlaws, limited late models, street stocks, pure stocks, front runners, legends, and bandoleros. Get your tickets today at NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing and experience local racing's best at Nashville's legendary track. Get your tickets today. That's NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series against the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Like, I think Treylon Burks is, here's my cold take. He's going to be a good NFL player. But what I also think is fair is that maybe his acquisition overshadowed that of which a player in which we know who he is. Mm-hmm. I think there's a case that Robert Woods is the most undervalued player in fantasy football right now. Robert Woods' current ADP amongst wide receivers is 48. That's the 14th round. He's virtually free right now in your drafts. I'm way ahead of ESPN consensus. I have him as wide receiver 34.
There you go. Nerd talk from Field Yates. Now, look, I know people love fantasy football, and I like Field Yates, so I'm not going to dog the nerd talk there. But I don't care about fantasy football.
What is nerdy about fantasy football?
Not into ADP?
Could not give two poops.
Well, that doesn't, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's nerdy.
Did I not just say that I know people love fantasy football?
Yeah, you did, but
so
you said
I'm
the
not
nerd
saying
talk.
that I don't. Okay, and I know people love wrestling, and when they get into wrestling talk, it's kind of trashy.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's trashy.
You don't think wrestling's a little trashy?
No, I think it's fun.
You don't think wrestling's a little trashy?
What's trashy about grown men in little outfits yelling at each other and sweating and throwing chairs at each other?
Literally.
Woo!
Everything.
Get him!
So, anywho, Field Yates said that he thinks Robert Woods is the most undervalued wide receiver in fantasy football. Now, I have said this many a time for the last 3 weeks. I think Robert Woods is going to be the number one receiver of the Titans. In fact, Field Yates went on, and Ian's going to have to translate this fantasy football talk for me. Field Yates continued on talking about Robert Woods and what value he may have both to the Titans and to fantasy football owners. Here's what Field Yates said.
They traded, meaning the Titans, A.J. Brown this offseason, of course. That vacates a nearly 25% target share. Julio Jones was not good for Tennessee last year, but still, he's also not there anymore. The incumbent wideouts on that Tennessee roster, it's a very, very thin group just in terms of the guys coming back. And if Treylon Burks is going to need some time to get acclimated to the offense, this could be Robert Woods' basically job unto himself as the wide receiver one. Yes, it's a run-heavy offense, but you still have to throw the football some. Second of all, Robert Woods is good. I know that the offense he's going to versus the one that he left when he got traded from the Rams is very different. He's just a good football player. He's averaged over 15 fantasy points per game over the past 4 seasons. Just look at the raw numbers. And I don't always like to touch on the raw numbers because there can be some misleading numbers.
In fantasy football, we can't talk about yards.
His last 3 full seasons, 86 catches, 1,219 yards, 90 catches, 1,134 yards, 90 catches, 936 yards. I don't know if the Titans will do this, but he had some rushing value as well. I love Robert Woods. I think he's being undervalued in drafts right now. I think he deserves to be much closer to wide receiver 30 than wide receiver 40.
Okay, so again, we can't talk about the raw numbers because God forbid we talk about catches, yards, and touchdowns.
Well, those also contribute to fantasy numbers.
It's like the baseball people, like the analytic baseball people, and if you were to go talk to them about batting average, they'd laugh you out of the building. They'd be like, "Oh, okay, pop. Batting average and RBIs. Get the hell out of here."
What is this, 1952?
Let me say this. I have 2 thoughts about that. One, I think Robert Woods is a good player, and I think that Robert Woods has been forgotten as if Robert Woods didn't matter to the Rams or as if Robert Woods' knee injury was some kind of knee injury of the scope that we had never heard of before. Oh, man, it was the Marshawn Lattimore knee injury and not just a torn ACL, which is what it was. I agree. Burks is going to put up numbers this year, but I don't think Burks is going to put up great numbers. And the reason is not because this is a run-first team. The reason for me is because Tannehill spreads the football around. And I think this year he has a wide receiving group that he trusts. He trusts Woods. He trusts Westbrook-Akina. I think he trusts McMath. I'm not sure if he trusts Burks. He's going to have to learn how to trust Burks, but
that'll grow as the season goes on.
It'll happen. And last week he ripped Kyle Phillips' ass. So those are the guys he's throwing to. Oh, he trusts Hooper. And I think he trusts Okonkwo. And he obviously trusts Swaim to catch the ball and fall down. So I think he's going to throw the ball he's a throw the ball around guy. Last year, I'm not sure he had those feelings with the receivers, which is probably why Tannehill has become so new about holding guys accountable and how it was intentional, according to Vrabel, for the way that he's pushing the guys harder, is so he has better trust. So, again, not to get all fantasy nerd, but what was the catch share he said A.J. Brown had? 20. He had 25 catch share.
Target share.
Target share.
Yeah.
Let me guess. That means that the percentage of the time of the balls thrown by Tannehill last year, 25%.
Yeah, the attempts versus the targets. Yeah.
We have to get super nerdy with a stat for that, other than just to say, hey, the Titans threw the ball to A.J. Brown 25% of the time.
No, you have to get super nerdy with it.
Target share dot analytic.
It's not that complicated.
I know it's not. Phone lines driven, but it doesn't need to be pretended like it's more special than it is. Let's talk about target share. Let's not talk about raw numbers like yards. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
Caleb in Gallatin texts in and says, do you think the Titans can take advantage of everyone else thinking that we don't have good wide receivers? I think if they're only worried about Derrick Henry, then we could see a lot of one-on-ones and we could throw a lot more than expected.
I think this is the difference between what television thinks and what real people think.
Yeah.
And real football people. I believe that, for instance, if I were the Buffalo Bills, I would be nervous about an offense that walks in there with Robert Woods, Treylon Burks' big playability, and Derrick Henry at running back. And I think other teams have to kind of worry internally about Austin Hooper because of the unknown. I think if I'm a defensive coach, the unknown of, he could be good like he was that year with the Falcons, that would make me nervous that could be the case. Now, remember, Ian, there was one thing that we used to always get told by our old defensive coach about what kept those guys up at night, and that was speed. And that is what the Titans, I'm not going to say lack at receiver, because I think all those guys can run a little bit. But I do believe that outside of McMath, they lack the separation, deep play, scare the crap out of you. So it will allow people to come up until the Titans start throwing the ball deep to McMath, which I expect them to do.
Have you noticed any sneaky speed from Treylon Burks? Because I've heard his 40 time isn't great, but he's a long strider.
So I was told by somebody after they drafted him that he wore one of those GPS trackers or whatever that they all wear now.
Yeah.
And that he caught a ball against Alabama in which he ran something like 25 miles per hour, which was the fastest recorded time in college football last season. I think Burks has that weird kind of athleticism. I'm not going to compare it to Charles Barkley, but Charles Barkley, when he got in shape, was in terms of physical gifts. Now, he wasn't 6'8", he was 6'4", but Barkley was so athletic. And I think because Barkley's big and fat now, and he was big and fat before that when he was the round mound and rebound, people forget about that. But Charles Barkley had special athletic gifts. Burks has a little bit of that, in my opinion. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says, have you heard Titans fans being concerned about Treylon Burks? I've only seen the national media be concerned.
Honestly, I hate to say this and sound like I'm above it because I'm not, because I'm a fan just like everybody else. Unless they call or text the show complaining about it, I'm not sure that I see like what the fan narrative is. I mean, I guess I can go talk to Buck because I think that's kind of his thing, is like what the fans are saying all the time.
Well, I haven't heard a lot of concern about Treylon Burks about this new national story that's apparently going on, but I did feel a lot of not being concerned about Treylon Burks from Titans fans when we were concerned about Treylon Burks when he wasn't finishing practices, when he was on and off the field. In OTAs, I didn't feel a lot of fan concern, so I'd be surprised if there was now all of a sudden fan concern.
I have not heard much from the fans, and I think this will show you that the Titans are having a good training camp.
Yeah.
I have not heard much from the fans because a lot of my opinions about practice have been very positive because what they've done, I think, has been positive.
Yeah.
Get into the season, start screwing things up, I'll hear from the fans.
Oh, yeah.
That will be where all of a sudden I start saying guys stink or whatever, and then I'll hear from the fans. What's next?
Indy Ben Texan.
Of course he does.
Yep. Traylon Burks still has a long ways to go as a professional wide receiver in terms of route running and separation from press coverage. This idea he's fine and can produce like a wide receiver 2 immediately is unrealistic.
You've been at practice. You think Burks could be a wide receiver 2 on this team?
Absolutely, I do.
So, I mean...
But also, that's just going off of what I've seen in training camp, and we'll see when we see him in an actual game.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. But yeah, I think that he can be an actual wide receiver too. I mean, he was, one of the best receivers in college football last year, and
So,
that's not something that I take lightly.
I have not watched the Colts play in practice. Apparently, Frank Reich has said that Matt Ryan will play in the first preseason game for a quarter, I believe on Saturday night. So we might all now have to watch that game. Might have to get Fitz's Game Pass password unless it's on NFL Network or whatever. But that Matt Ryan will play the first quarter of the game on Saturday, which means that my guess is Pittman and all those other guys will play as well. The Colts wide receivers, I don't know who the hell's at wide receiver on that team.
Paris Campbell.
I mean, this is like one time. Chris Sanders is going to join us in just a second. It reminds me, we did a pregame show, and the Colts had all these injuries at wide receiver, and Chris was talking about Paris Campbell ad nauseum because Paris Campbell went to Ohio State, and you know how those guys are. And then Paris Campbell was inactive for the game. So Chris is looking through his notes during a commercial break, and he goes, who the hell is or he doesn't, of course, Chris didn't say hell. Chris goes, who is Marcus Johnson? And so then, like, the next segment, Chris was talking about how he was worried about Marcus Johnson. And I was like, Chris, you did not know who that guy was.
Don't expose
10
the
minutes
man.
ago.
Don't expose him. He did his research.
And then TD was on, like, the next segment on the pregame show. And I was laughing about how Chris didn't know who Marcus Johnson was, and now he's worried. And TD was like, well, no. Marcus Johnson was at the Eagles, and I know all there is to know about Marcus Johnson, and Marcus Johnson's good. And I was like, oh, great. Now Chris's fears of a guy that he didn't know 5 minutes ago have now been confirmed.
But
Just
that's when you
great.
know how bad it was last year in terms of injuries and
Well,
the
that
wide
was
receivers
like 3
in and
years
out.
ago.
Okay.
But that's the Colts right now. Michael Pittman. I know they drafted Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. I have no idea if he's any good.
I think those are their two main ones with Paris Campbell.
Paris Campbell's always hurt.
That's true.
I mean, I'm not worried about that.
But they do play the Bills, 3 o'clock, NFL Network on Saturday.
Yes, we will all
I'll
watch.
be intrigued to see what Indy Ben has to say.
615-737-1025. Chris Sanders will join us next. We'll get his thoughts on the John Robinson comment about the wide receivers and feeling good about it, and his thoughts for the preseason game tomorrow. Hey, we are your racing station. 102.5, 106.3 The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Federated Auto Parts 400. Also join Chase McCabe every Sunday morning at 8 for Chasing Checkers as he talks to the drivers and gets you set for race weekend. NASCAR on 102.5, 106.3 The Game is presented by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Craig Bobus. A very similar day to yesterday here for your Wednesday. Scattered showers and storms taking us into the afternoon and into the evening hours as well. Heat and humidity will be there. We'll be in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box store. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at HarmanEnergy.com.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year,
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, I think that group's doing a great job. You know, the sky was falling before we started training camp, but you know, those guys that have came in, they put the work in. From Robert Woods to Burks to Westbrook to Phillips. I mean, go down the line with all of them. They've all made plays in this training camp. I'm excited to watch those guys coupled with the tight ends that we've added, you know, the passing targets for Ryan and the quarterback group. And they're doing a really nice job.
John Robinson was like, let me get back to being boring after I take this crack at everybody that was worried about our wide receiving core, because the sky was falling, and apparently now that John Robinson feels comfortable enough to take that crack in practice, they are not. Former Titans receiver Chris Sanders joins us on the program. Fueled by Harman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Visit HarmanEnergy.com. Chris,
what's up?
How do you feel about John Robinson's confidence at the wide receiver position?
Man, I am so pumped up, and I'm glad that he's talking about it, because if you and I'm not comparing it to us, but in 1999 we had the same situation. Before we came in, they said we didn't have no receivers. We got Dyson, we got Yancey Dickman. But, man, it's the exact same situation. You got McMath, you got Phillips, you got Fitzpatrick, you had Josh Malone, you got Westbrook, we had Kevin Dyson, we had Burr, we had Dickman, we had Mason, we had Joey Kent. But here's the crazy part about it is everybody on both lists were making plays, and everybody knew their role. So, man, just to hear what J. Rob is saying and how excited he is about these receivers, because at the beginning of the year, everybody's like, oh, my gosh, we don't have no receivers. We got to go draft one. But the good thing about it is, Jared, is we got a lot of depth at wide receivers, and I think that is outstanding.
Chris, I want your thoughts on this. Ryan Tannehill talked at length on Monday about pushing guys harder than he has in the past, about guys making plays for him. Mike Vrabel said that has been intentional this season, that the relationship between the receiver and the quarterback is something that was discussed in private between him and Downing and Tannehill. I want your thoughts on that. And maybe are you seeing maybe what was a problem last season being addressed this season?
Yeah, because the thing about it is when somebody questions your leadership, you got two choices: to get better or get bitter. And the reason why I love what Tannehill's doing is he's taking ownership of his mistakes. I mean, look at what the situation that happened when, they lost to Cincinnati Bengals. He just left without talking to anybody and not communicating. But now he's understanding that if he communicates with his receivers, communicates with the fans, communicates in a situation, then he can make everything better. Because the thing about it is, everybody can learn from their mistakes. Look at the mistakes that he made. He had a choice to learn from it or get mad, and he's learning from what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job by becoming a great leader, not talking about it, but doing it with action.
Chris Sanders is our guest here on the program. Chris, your thoughts tomorrow on the preseason game? I assume we will see a lot of Malik Willis at quarterback. What is your expectation for Malik, and how excited are you to watch him out there?
Yeah, I am excited about him because I was just talking to TD a few minutes ago, and he's talking about the improvement that Malik Willis is doing. I mean, he struggled a little bit at the beginning of camp, but he's understanding, and the game is slowing down to him. So I want to see how he responds to when he's actually getting blitzed or he's actually getting pressure in the pocket. How is he going to respond? Because if he can respond in a situation like this, then J-Rob, Mike Vrabel, and Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator, can have confidence to where you can put him in the second position or the third position in quarterback.
TD, what do you make of Treylon Burks? I saw him out there on the practice field when they were really going contact last week. And what they did was it was Woodside at quarterback, it was Malik at quarterback, and Byard, Simmons, Tannehill, Hooper, Robert Woods, Henry, all those guys were out. So I was sitting there watching this. Caroline, I think I said it to you. I was like, I think that's the Baltimore crew that's out there right now.
Yeah.
I think that's who's playing Thursday. I think we're going to see a lot of Treylon Burks tomorrow. What are your expectations for Treylon Burks?
I think he should go out there, and I think he's going to play absolutely well because everybody talked about how bad he was. He just got to go out there and let the game come to him. And the one thing he definitely does not want to do is put pressure on him to do something that he's not used to doing. Just go out there and play ball. Everybody knows he can handle the big lights. We saw what he did in Arkansas when he played against Alabama. I mean, it gets no bigger than that, and he shined in that situation. If he just goes out there, doesn't have any pressure, makes big plays, you don't think that Malik Willis is going to have confidence. You don't think that Tannehill or Woodside is going to have confidence to throw him the ball. So basically what this is a Broadway play to where you're auditioning to build confidence with your quarterback so they can trust you in making big plays.
I remember Javon Curse's first preseason game when you were on the Titans at Kansas City, and I told my dad I didn't know anything about football, and I was in the 4th grade. And I'm like, this Javon Curse is incredible.
Oh my
God. I almost feel like, given who won't be out there for Baltimore, this could be a huge confidence game, Chris Sanders, for Treylon Burks, because he might be one of the most talented players on the field tomorrow.
Yeah, he is. I mean, just imagine if this scenario happens. It's the second play of the game, and all of a sudden you have Burks lined up on the left, man-to-man coverage, cover zero. It's Imano, and Tannehill or Willis or Woodside sees that, and they throw a 80-yard bomb. Do you think the fans, the coaches are going to go crazy if that situation happens? I mean, just look at what happened in camp when he showed up for camp. And on the second play of 7-on-7, he catches the bomb. Everybody loses their mind. So just imagine, Jared, if we're the second play of the stinking game and they throw a bomb for a touchdown to Treylon Burks, they are going to absolutely lose their mind. And I think you are too.
Chris, what do you make of Racey McMath? I mean, every single practice, I feel like I'm putting down +1 for 13. He's making tough catches on balls thrown behind him. Tannehill is chucking it deep to him. He's got the speed. We all know that. Last year, up and down, including a big fumble against the Steelers. What is your feeling about the role McMath can have? I think he's made the team.
Yes.
How excited are you about him and what he could offer the pass game?
It's cool because he trusts the process. I mean, when he came in last year from LSU, everybody talking about that he was a speed guy and he doesn't know how to run routes and he can't get off there. All these things. He took what the coaches told him, and now he's applying it, and now he's seeing, the fruit of what he's doing. But the thing about it is we always talking about getting a receiver that can take the top off the defense, that can run a post or run a go route. We've been seeing that in 7-on-7, and we've been seeing that in team. But here's the thing that I'm really, really proud of McMath for is because now he's becoming consistent. Mike Vrabel always talks about a consistent player. J-Rob keeps talking about it. Even the quarterback says we need a consistent receiver. And everything that we saw in this camp, He's been consistent from day one to now, and I want to see what he's going to do against the Baltimore Ravens.
Chris Sanders is our guest, fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Visit ParmanEnergy.com. Chris, I know that winning the game tomorrow is not a big deal, and we know that the good players like Simmons or Byard or Tannehill, those guys are not going to play. What are you most looking forward to watching tomorrow night from the younger Titans or the Titans fighting for roster spots?
You know, I want to start with the receivers. I mean, we talked about McMath, Phillips, Fitzpatrick, Josh Malone, and Roberson. I want to see who's going to separate themselves because everybody's in the pack right now. Everybody's making plays. Kyle Phillips is making – all those guys are making plays. Mm-hmm. Who's going to show up on film tomorrow? And then we got the secondary. We got Farley. We got Fulton. We got McCrary. We got a slew of defensive backs. I want to see how can they put this whole thing together. I don't know how much these guys are going to play, but I want to see how ferocious our defense is going to be with all those guys in the back. And I know what they can do, you know, up front, but I want to see what the back it can do in this situation. So those are the two things I'm looking for. Who's going to separate themselves at the receiver position, and I want to see how consistent the defensive back and the back ends are going to be.
What was it like for preseason with you?
Oh, man, it was a little different because I came in kind of like, you know, McMath. Oh, he's a speed guy. He's kind of raw. So I had a chip on my shoulder. So every game that I went in, I think we scrimmaged the Washington Redskins, I wanted to go and show the coaches that you can depend on me. And I remember a play was fourth and 21. And, you know, the coach went for it. So I caught a curl, caught the ball, spun, and went 30 yards. And that day I gained the respect of my teammates. So with this preseason going on, with guys making plays in the secondary or guys making receivers, they make that a spectacular play, you can win the win over your teammates, your leaders.
Chris Sanders, as always. Appreciate you, Chris.
Appreciate you, Doc. Thanks, man.
Yep, Chris Sanders joining us on the program, as always. Someone's got to tell Chris he can't say that team name anymore.
What team name?
The one he just said.
What?
You weren't listening, were you?
I didn't hear her.
You heard what he said?
Nope.
The team, the Washington team, what they used to be called.
Oh.
Can't say that anymore.
The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins.
Can't say it.
I can say it.
Cancel culture. Caroline Fenton just said that she said the team name I'm not even going to use. I will say this.
Then don't use it. We used it for years.
There was a 30 for 30 about the 87 Washington team that played in the strike and then won the Super Bowl.
Well, okay, to be fair, if that's what they were called at the time, isn't it okay to call them that?
No. But
okay,
it is okay to watch something from 2018 and hear somebody say
I don't know. Cancel culture isn't very specific on that one.
Every time I saw that, when I watched the documentary, every time they talked about it, because it was just like that, I was like, man, every time I was like, can't say that. And honestly, like, I didn't have much of a problem with it. I mean, when they got rid of it, I was like, it's probably time to get rid of it.
Yeah, it was past due.
But, you know, there have been much more egregious things in life. Let me just say that. 615-737-1025. Good stuff from Chris. John Robinson gives us an update on Malik Willis. We'll have to decipher what the hell he means. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Line to left, coming on Newstrom. Base hit, Sounds win.
We talk the game.
But they knew he'd be really good. Well, if they don't make that move, they don't win those championships.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here to tell you Twin Peaks will hook you up for your fantasy football draft party, which includes a draft board, player stickers, free Wi-Fi, a $50 bonus for the commish, and a $5 bonus card for each drafter. And when you're not on the clock, relax with one of Twin Peaks' refreshing 29-degree beers, or order for the whole team with a Peak sampler full of fan favorites, or indulge in shareables like the double-stack nachos, loaded fries, and multiple flavors of boneless wings. Call Twin Peaks in Cool Springs today to book your fantasy football draft party at 615-221-0869.
Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, is observing a significant milestone this month. Our founder, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 50th year as president. Joining Bud with anniversaries of their own are Max Hurst and Scott Meyer with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and Ryan Burke in our sales department is also celebrating 1 year with us. From 1 year to 50 years, Cromwell Media is a great place to work, and you're invited to join us. Send an email to together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
Supper time. Did you know that most commercial dog food has 50 to 64% processed cereal byproducts, even in some premium and organic brands?
I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein, and I've saved dogs no one else could with proper nutrition, which led to my development of Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw food made with real cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit that I created to support your dog's health, happiness, and wellness.
Nature's Blend is made in North America and contains organ meat, some of the most nutritious meat you can give your pet, and it has 0 artificial preservatives, additives, or fillers. For a limited time, save 50% off your first order and receive a free bag of dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/good or text GOOD to 511-511.
I guarantee it with a 100% 90-day return of your purchase price.
Your dog will love the taste of Nature's Blend. Text GOOD to 511-511 today.
Tech fees may apply. You may receive up to 1 additional text. Text stop to opt out.
I'm Cindy Mae Johnson from Mountaintop Media in the beautiful Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky, where flash floods have taken lives and destroyed homes. The news can never accurately convey how much help is needed. If you're willing or able to help, even a little, please donate to the East Kentucky Dream Center on Venmo or at ekdc.info. Thank you for your prayers and support.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Stillman Company.
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Tomorrow, the Titans will play the Ravens. Now, look, I don't need to hear anybody complain about preseason. We know the preseason sucks. I get it. The whole concept of preseason football. I mean, I was actually talking to somebody today who wanted to go to the Titans and Buccaneers practices next week. And he was like, are the Titans-Buccaneers practices open next week? Because he knows that Tom Brady is not going to play in the game at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, but Tom Brady will practice. And let's not kid ourselves, nobody actually cares about the Buccaneers. It's all about Tom Brady. We'll see Tom Brady. And I was like, I mean, the practices are kind of open, but I don't know, like, how the people that have been there, how the fans that get there get invited. I don't know, but it's been very limited in terms of the number of fans. And I wish they could have at least one of those days with Tampa Bay at Nissan Stadium, but there's not enough fields, and they would tear up the turf, so they can't do that. So unlike 2019, where everybody could come out for 2 days to see Tom Brady, that's just not going to be the case. So I know preseason football sucks. But when they drafted Malik Willis in the 3rd round, I was at least excited that we would have something to watch in the preseason this year, and it will be Malik Willis. There will be a lot of Malik Willis tomorrow night. I am excited to see the Malik that has been in practice play in a game. I'm excited to see if some of the things that he's tried in practice are going to work against a different team, different coverages, different defense, different players. I'm excited because, again, these 3 games and the 2 practices, and they will be limited reps for Malik because Ryan Tannehill in the practices against Tampa Bay, Ryan Tannehill's going to have to get out there. And so this is his chance, to really show something before he goes away for the rest of the season. And John Robinson was on the SiriusXM NFL radio tour, and he was asked about Malik. And again, with Robinson, sometimes you have to decipher. Is he saying nothing but being nice? Is there a little subtle message in there, or is there an obvious message in there? So I want everybody to tune in their listening ears. This is the update. John Robinson, the evaluator of the team, bless you. This is the message that John Robinson, the update that he has given on Malik Willis.
Malik's doing some good things. He had a good spring. I think that he's articulating the play well in the huddle, which I don't know how much he had to do a whole lot of that at Liberty with an up-tempo offense. So that's one thing that a quarterback, a lot of these up-tempo teams, when they don't have to hear a play, get in the huddle, call a play, that's new for him. And he's done a good job of that. I think the overall decision making that he's kind of progressed through and the decisions that he's made have been the right ones. It's about just a little quicker on the timing, pull the trigger a little quicker here, or, make this go with the ball over here, just a little quicker with the decision making process. But he's athletic. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's got a really strong arm. He's made some really good throws. I think the 7-on-7 stuff has been probably more of his more impressive periods, if you will.
Okay. So, the update from Robinson. He is articulating things in the huddle. He is making good decisions, but bad timing, which some of these balls he's thrown in practice have been so far behind guys that I think that's what he's referring
overthrown.
to.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot.
And so, I think I understand that. We all know Malik's athletic, and Malik's very athletic, and he's got a freaking rocket launcher for an arm. That, I think we all know. Now, the 7-on-7 thing, we'll get to that. Push that to the side for a second about 7-on-7 being his best periods, because I'm not sure I've thought that, but I also don't get to watch the tape. So we'll put 7-on-7 to the side for a second. John Robinson, in my opinion, this is the update on Malik Willis. To translate this to modern English for everybody else, the progress that we were most concerned about when we drafted him was, would he be able to adjust to the level of complexity? Complexity. Thank you.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
Why does it sound not right?
Could he adjust to that level in the NFL?
And I think that's a fair concern, and it's a concern that I had as well.
So could he adjust to that as opposed to Sonic the Hedgehog on the board? All right, that means slant. That it's different in the NFL. Robinson, with saying he's doing a good job of articulating those things in the huddle, to me, that is check one. The number one thing that if he couldn't learn to do this, he wouldn't be able to play quarterback in the NFL eventually. Malik Willis, check one right there. Good decisions, bad timing. Now, he talked about this, and John Robinson talked about this before training camp started, about how in the spring, the decisions were good, but the timing has to get better. I wonder if that's becoming a frustration, that's still a problem 3 weeks into training camp, or really 2, because this interview was done on Friday of last week, that good decisions, bad timing. Now, I will say there's a fear, I think a natural fear, that timing won't ever happen. But for the most part, timing is almost like one of those things that coaches probably think that they can work on with a quarterback.
And I am not a quarterback coach, but I feel like timing is something that you get into a groove with, that you do once and you're like, okay, now I know what feels right. Because we've heard that accuracy isn't something that can necessarily be coached. It's just something that you have or you don't have.
Sometimes it works. Like Josh Allen's an example of, where sometimes a team can coach a quarterback to be accurate. But yes, for the most part, that is certainly a part of it.
And timing, I've never been a quarterback coach, but timing feels like something you just have to do over and over and over again. It's almost like a habit that you start to get a feel for.
I think it's one of those boxes that eventually gets checked, and if it doesn't get checked, then the progress doesn't go on any further.
Yeah.
Like if Malik's timing doesn't get better, then he will never play in the NFL. But they're hoping that the timing will get better.
I do wonder how much of that is a comfort thing.
About timing?
Yes.
Like just waiting for the guy to be wide open and then throwing it to the guy who's wide open where he is standing. Like when I used to play in the backyard at school and it would be like, hey, I'm open, throw me the ball, as opposed to like, hey, man, you got to throw this ball and then anticipate that the guy will then get open and be where he is when the ball gets there.
That and also the threat of getting sacked. Because there are a couple times in practice that I've seen, Malik Willis kind of has twinkle toes because he's so nervous of the getting sacked. So I do wonder, after he gets that comfort level, will the timing come?
See, that's it. Because when John Robinson says that 7-on-7's been his best period, I thought about looking back at my notes, but I missed 2 practices, so I wouldn't have seen those 7-on-7s. I don't necessarily feel off the top of my head, much of a difference between Willis in 7-on-7 or Willis in 11-on-11. But for John Robinson to say that he's been better in 7-on-7 than 11-on-11 tells me that Robinson is worried about Willis's happy feet when there is a pass rush, as if the lack of a pass rush in 7-on-7 makes Malik feel comfortable that he's not going to get sacked and that he doesn't need to just go and take off. I felt like too many times, and I asked Vrabel about this after about 2 weeks ago, after about the fourth or fifth practice. I asked Vrabel, do you like Malik just taking off and running with the football as opposed to, it's practice, stand in there and throw the ball. And I want to see Malik throw. Like tomorrow, Malik's going to run, and I think Malik will do a good job running the ball, and he will show his athleticism and that he can run the ball at quarterback. But I don't want to see Malik run the ball tomorrow. I want to see Malik throw the ball tomorrow in a real game run.
Yeah.
But I do think that that is what Robinson is hinting at, that the pass rush scares him and that the pass rush gives him something else to think about in 11-on-11 as compared to 7-on-7, where he can look and he can see receivers and he can think and he knows he's got to throw it, whereas 11-on-11, it's one, I don't know,
I'm so
take
scared
off
they're
with the
coming
ball.
for me. And
right.
to your point that you didn't see a difference between 11-on-11 versus 7-on-7, I believe it was your FedEx package day that I noticed in 7-on-7 in red zone period, Malik Willis looked like a freaking rock star. I mean, he had 2 or 3 back-to-back-to-back really good throws for a touchdown.
Let's just take out the notes that we have here with us. Let's go. Let's do practice 5.
Okay.
I'm looking for anything that is plus. These were all red zones. All right, here we go. 7-on-7. This is Willis. Willis complete to 49. Willis incomplete to 84. Willis intercepted, and he got pulled after that one. In 7-on-7. 11-on-11, Willis got sacked.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess
you
that
can kind of see the root of the problem there. And and I think we were all so caught up about, Malik Willis ran such a simplistic offense at Liberty, and we were so concerned about that that I don't think that we've looked into the level of Malik Willis has never faced defensive line like he's going to face in the NFL that he did in college.
Here you go. This is practice number 4. So this is the one before practice 3. And I know that I wish I had my notes from the later practices with me, but whatever. Malik Willis sacked in his one pass play in 11-on-11.
Not great.
7-on-7. Malik complete short to 25. Malik scrambled to the right in 7-on-7. Incomplete intended for 88. Incomplete intended for 80. That was 7-on-7. 11-on-11 for Willis. He threw one completion to Chestnut, the running back. So, again, those are missing some practices in there. And I missed 2 practices. And Robinson goes back and watches the film. And Robinson knows what he's being coached to do. I think that is John's way of saying that Malik, basically the update on Malik Willis is the first step of learning to be able to tell the guys what to do, Malik can do. That when they call 80, spider 2 wide banana, 87 double shoot queen, that Malik knows what that is and he can tell the guys what to do. His timing is off. He's not comfortable throwing guys open yet in the NFL, which is hard to do. And the pass rush right now is too much for him.
Mm-hmm.
So those will be things that we have to watch for tomorrow. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you've got a Malik thought, get it in. I expect to see a lot of Malik. A lot of Malik tomorrow. 615-737-1025. Now, there is something that hit me yesterday when thinking about all the young guys that I believe that we will see tomorrow on the field against the Ravens, and something that, honestly, I think could be huge for the 2022 Titans. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Tuesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Make your next hire fast with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Are you ready for this?
You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
People who call QC Kinetics are pretty much fed up with joint pain.
It's to the point where it's affecting their quality of life. Maybe they can't pick up their grandchildren anymore, or golf, or play tennis, or walk with their friends.
Dr. Justin Garzone, medical director at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, and no surgery.
The great thing about our therapies, there isn't any downtime. There's no side effects, so patients can get our treatment and continue on with their day-to-day life.
And Dr. Garzone speaks from experience. He had excruciating back pain and got relief at a QC Kinetics clinic.
Over a very short period of time, the pain went away completely, and I've had absolutely no symptoms or pain since my treatment.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb has made some plays for us. He's done some really good things, and there's still some things that he needs to clean up, but he's moving well. He's a bigger corner with fluid hips and good speed and great length. But some things that he's got to, certainly continue to improve on. But he's working at it. And Rogers has come in and just covered his guy for the most part. He's given up, a couple here or there, but for a younger player to be playing, 2 spots, he plays inside, he plays outside, and learning the calls. I haven't seen a whole lot of busts from him as far as for not being where he's supposed to be. When we ask him questions in the squad meeting, he answers them. He answers them confidently and correctly. So that's impressive. You can tell that he's immersed himself in the playbook. He's studied, and he's been really, really sticky in coverage. So excited to see him continue to progress.
By the way, just listening to that cut from John Robinson on SiriusXM NFL Radio, just listening to that cut, if it is a legitimate position battle between, as the unofficial depth chart released by the Titans.
Unofficial, do not get that twisted.
If the unofficial depth chart released officially, that is the case, that those two are battling it out, I think it's pretty obvious who Robinson's favoring right now.
It sounds like Nicholas Petit-Frere.
You didn't listen to the cut, did you?
Yeah, I did.
I don't think you listened to the cut.
That was my interpretation of it.
That it was Nicholas Petit-Frere?
Yeah.
Ian, was that your interpretation of it?
Between what now?
Radens and Petit-Frere.
So I asked, I said to Caroline, I was like, it's clearly not much of a battle if we're wondering who Robinson's talking about there. And she said, yeah, it's Nicholas Petit-Frere. And I said, you didn't hear the clip, did you? And she was like, no, from my interpretation, that's what it was. Play that John Robinson clip again, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb has made some plays for us. He's done some really good things.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
That
All right. Wrong position battle.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes. So, anywho, my interpretation of the clip is that John Robinson, it definitely feels a lot more, Caleb's made some nice plays for us, so on. Right? It's okay.
To be fair, I was doing other stuff.
I know. But that basically, McCreary, I love this, I love that. He plays inside, he plays outside. He's been all over the ball. He studies, he's this, he's that. But here's something that gets me about this, because I think tomorrow night you're going to see a lot of Caleb Farley. I think you're going to see a lot of Roger McCreary in training camp. And so I really thought about what the Titans are getting. Because right now, and I've been at most of the practices, you've been at most of the practices. Last year, I was stunned in my first season of covering training camp on a consistent basis. I was absolutely stunned by the fact that the guys who practiced the most consistently in training camp happened to be the guys that played the best in the preseason games. I don't know why I was stunned by that. It seems like basic, but I'd see guys do well in practice, and then I'd see them play in that Atlanta preseason game, and I'm like, wow, the guys that are practicing the best are playing the best.
Crazy how that works.
Nuts. But last year, they got nothing out of their rookie class. Nothing outside of Elijah Molden. They got Molden. Everything else was complete crap. Farley got hurt. Radens couldn't be active. Monty Rice was redundant and then got hurt. McMath wasn't ready and fumbled the ball against Pittsburgh. And I don't even remember who else they drafted last year. I'm sure I lost my minds with the guys on the draft show last year. The 2021 draft show was amazing.
Brady Breeze.
Yeah, exactly. So
where is he these days?
I think he's in Detroit, but I could be wrong about
T's
that.
and P's.
So last year they got Molden. That was it. This year, in terms of contributions they're going to get contributions from Caleb Farley of last year's class, Racy McMath of last year's class, and Traylon Burks of this year's class, Roger McCreary of this year's class. I believe Nicholas Petit-Ferrer is going to start at right tackle this year, so they'll get contributions from him, which is why I left Radens out, because I don't think they're going to get really anything from Radens. And they're going to get Chigakonkwo and Kyle Phillips. So I almost feel like they're going to get 2 draft classes this year where the players that can help the football team, because I can see a role for every single one of those guys. I think Okonkwo has a legitimate role on this football team this year. I think Phillips has a legitimate role on the football team. Farley, McCreary, just like how Christian Fulton didn't give them anything in 2020, but Christian Fulton played almost every game and played well at corner last year. They're going to get that out of Farley, and now Farley's got a ways to go. Like, to me, it's obvious that McCreary is ahead of Farley, but I think they're both going to be on the field. But I think they're going to get stuff out of last year's class and this year's rookie class, and I mean like legitimate starting level contributions from 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, Farley is 5 guys, and then Phillips and McMath will give them contributions as well at receiver. That's huge.
And it is. And I don't want to undermine how important that is and how much more you can expect from this class of 22.
You have a take on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Give
it to us.
How long is that sustainable where your contributions from your class is deferred for a year? Because you just mentioned Christian Fulton,
but
who was drafted in 2020.
They're not deferring this year's class.
And yes, that is big. But I just wonder, because that's been a repeated issue with John Robinson, is, the desire to draft injured players. How long is that sustainable?
Didn't give them much in 19.
No, and Christian Fulton didn't give them anything in 20.
Landry didn't give them much in 18.
But gave them something in 2021. And of course, it's like delayed satisfaction that when you actually do see them contribute or play the year after they're drafted, it's like, yes, finally, we're seeing something from Caleb Farley or Christian Fulton or Jeffrey Simmons. But how long can you do that? Of course, the 22 class is looking good. And you think that they're going to contribute in 22.
The answer to that question, I believe, is as long as this core can stay together. So Byard,
the 22 core?
Henry, Lawan,
or the actual
Tannehill. Yeah, the core of the team.
Yeah.
Tannehill, Henry, Lawan, Byard, Simmons. Who am I missing in there? Landry, Nate Davis, Ben Jones. As long as those guys can keep it together, which ultimately I think it truly hinges on Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Henry is the one who it legitimately hinges on. If Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry and the other guys are the other guys, then they'll be fine, because all of these guys for the most part are just this guy exits, that guy comes in. But the Corey Davises don't matter that much, because you just replace them and move on. They just replace Rashaan Evans and move on. They don't just replace Derrick Henry, I don't think. They don't just replace Kevin Byard. And, of course, the quarterback. it's complicated to answer your question because I don't feel like it's a year thing. It's not like 3 years they can do this or 2 years they can do this. Jarrell Casey was a huge part of what this organization did, especially when they freaking stunk. Casey was a huge part of this team. He was a huge leader, and Jarrell Casey was a great Titan. I mean, his name should be in the Titans Ring of Honor. Jarrell Casey was a great Titan. And I say this because when they had Simmons and they believed in Simmons, they then moved off of Casey. And eventually they're going to move off of Derrick Henry. And when they move off of Derrick Henry, is there going to be a running back that they have in the pipeline who can do the Derrick Henry things? For example, when they moved off DeMarco Murray, they didn't have that running back because they had Derrick on the team, but Derrick and Dion Lewis, and they didn't know. And until they got Derrick, they didn't have the stability they had with DeMarco Murray. That's what's going to have to happen with this core is that, and this is why, here's an interesting thing that I've thought about a lot, or something that might be a little controversial, but I love Byard. I think Kevin Byard's a key part of this leadership team and everything else, but Kevin Byard's entering his 7th year in the league. They're going to have to pay Amani Hooker at the end of this year. I think those two are a lot closer, and this is no disrespect to Byard. I think those two are a lot closer than people think. If I had to pick, I can only pay one safety. Now, we know the salary cap's fake, but if I had to pick between one or the other, I think I might pick Hooker because Hooker's the younger guy. Byard's the bigger star, but down the road, 3 years from now, Amani Hooker is 3 or 4 years younger than Kevin Byard. That might be something that they have to think about. Now, to answer your question about how long can they defer draft classes for, well, I don't think they can defer the Traylon Burks need to be a factor this year because they traded away A.J. Brown. So for every core piece of this team that goes out, a core piece
something
has
else to come back in.
And so right tackle, it was a revolving door. Conklin was constantly hurt. Dennis Kelly, David Quessenberry, right tackle, not a core piece of this team's kind of window that they've had the last couple years. Left tackle, they're going to have to replace Lawan one day or else it's going to be trouble. Quarterback, they're going to have to replace Tannehill at some point or else it's going to be trouble.
And correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that that's what they tried to do in this year's class.
With Petit Frere?
Petit Frere and potentially Malik Willis.
I think Willis was a total lottery ticket.
Maybe so.
And
maybe it was just best player available in the 3rd round, and hey, let's just go ahead and take a risk on Malik Willis.
Let's see. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. Plus, John Robinson does comment about Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit Frere.
There we go.
We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Titans training camp is underway.
Talking Titans?
What wide receivers make the team?
Traylon Burks, the physicality. Robert Woods, route concepts and how to get open.
Who starts on the offensive line?
It's a full-on right tackle battle.
What other storylines will stand out?
Malik Willis, some of the best he's looked in camp.
Titans training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com and by USA Hemp Store on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 10th, we're running a one-day end-of-summer special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. We can now effectively treat your ED without any pills. If you're ready to transform your love life, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that, guys. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, worth $1,000. But call today, Wednesday, and qualify totally free. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 615-576-5000.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you are able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMD4Men.com.
Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. This is not a drill.
We're doing a show in the round. It's something new. I'll look forward to the challenge.
Featuring his songs from the golden era of Pink Floyd. Saturday, August 27th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets at rogerwaters.com.
This is not a drill.
Produced by AEG Presents.
Join 102.5 The Game, Brentwood Fire and Police, the Williamson County Sheriff's Department, and the Nolensville Fire and Rescue for the 9th Annual Williamson County Battle of the Badges Blood Drive, Wednesday, August 17th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Brentwood Library on Concord Road. This year's blood drive will be in memory of Williamson County Deputy Chandler Rowe. Support the 9th Annual Williamson County Battle of the Badges Blood Drive, Wednesday, August 17th, sponsored by BL Harbert International.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game, in the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, it'd be good to watch some of these guys in the preseason games and watch them continue to improve in practice. But I think all the players that are playing at those spots, Dylan Radens, Nick Petit-Frere, the rookie, at the tackle spot. Aaron Brewer at the guard spot, Jamarco Jones at the guard spot, Jordan Roos at the guard. I mean, all those guys have improved throughout the course of camp. Certainly with the rookie Nick and with Jamarco, two totally different offenses. So I have seen their fundamentals and their technique improve. I like the way their play style, their finish, their effort throughout the course of the play has improved. It's going to be fun to watch. Man, Dylan Radens has really done a nice job, over the last couple practices stringing some plays together.
All right, this mic works. All right, great.
I think I broke something.
Oh, super.
God. To be fair, you moved it over on my side and made it my responsibility.
Well, I just moved it. I didn't.
Well, you moved it over on
tell
my
you to
side.
break it out of the thing.
Oh, yep. Sorry, Chase. I blame Jared. Well,
Don't blame me.
Well, I do.
I'm sitting here.
You put it over in my vicinity.
I'm sitting here talking bad about people behind their backs. I can't see if my mic's off
well,
or not.
nobody
would
would have known if you didn't bring it up.
Not off, so that I can't get this mic to work that I've been using. So I go to this mic over. Oh my God, it's so frustrating.
I think.
This is what Vrabel went through last year when they played 90 players or whatever. This is what Vrabel went through.
Is this what Vrabel went through?
Yes. Where they thought they had a player, like we thought we had a microphone, and then Caroline broke
We'll have to rotate through 90 different mics.
I think
before
there is
feel
some truth in
Mike
that.
Vrabel's pain from last year.
I do want to go to, if you're listening in the radio, you have no idea what's going on. If you're watching the stream, you're probably laughing your ass off. So I do want to just address a little bit what Robinson said there before we get back to your phones. But basically, he gave Dylan Radens like a pat on the head. Like he's doing a good job. And I wasn't expecting him to mention Jordan Roos amongst the guys who are kind of in the mix on the offensive line, but he did. And if he says they're in the mix, since his opinion matters the most, that could be interesting. No. I mean, if he says they're in the mix, it makes me think that Jordan Roos could be in the mix.
Then maybe this right tackle job is way more wide open than I thought it was going to be.
Give me the Robinson cut again. Listen to the pat on the head he gives Dylan Radens here.
Yeah, it'd be good to watch some of these guys in the preseason games and watch them continue to improve in practice. But I think all the players that are playing at those spots, Dylan Radens, Nick Petit-Frere, the rookie, at the tackle spot. Aaron Brewer at the guard spot, Jamarco Jones at the guard spot, Jordan Roos at the guard. I mean, all those guys have improved throughout the course of camp. Certainly with the rookie Nick and with Jamarco, two totally different offenses. So I have seen their fundamentals and their technique improve. I like the way their play style, their finish, their effort throughout the course of the play has improved. It's going to be fun to watch. Man, Dylan Radens has really done a nice job, over the last couple practices stringing some plays together.
Like what he just said about Dylan Radens
job, Dylan.
is how I pet my parents' pugs on the head.
Good job.
Like,
You've been a good boy
good
today.
boy. There you go. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
Will texts in and says, do you think the slow development on defense is because of the endlessly different looks on defense? It seems like defensive rookies need a year to learn on the job so they can play fast year 2.
No, I think the reason why Caleb Farley didn't help the team last year is because he tore his ACL.
And also because he had a reconstructed spine.
I believe that was – I believe the
and
torn
Christian
ACL
Fulton had the
was his
same
problem.
issue. He was injured going into his rookie season as well.
I think Fulton played early but not well. And then Fulton got hurt, and then Fulton came back and was inactive, and that was like a big story. Like, does Vrabel believe in Fulton? And I think it was Chris Sanders who heard a cut Vrabel said and was like, yeah, he doesn't trust him. And I was like, really? And Chris was like, yeah. And so then they finally put Fulton out there at the end of the season. He didn't do much. But Landry hurt an ankle. That's why it took him, a year to show up. Simmons came back off of a torn ACL. That's why it took him a year and a half to show up. Farley tore his ACL last year. I mean, like Amani Hooker, for instance, was placed in the starting lineup. Hooker was good as that third safety 2 years ago, albeit the defense was a train wreck. But they put him in as that second safety last year and didn't take Hooker any time to get going. Hooker's been a good player since they drafted him, like a solid special teams core guy that they can play on defense. So, no, I don't think it necessarily takes guys longer on defense. I just think the Titans' young guys have all gotten hurt or something's happened, and that's why it's been a little bit of a slow climb. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says, how much do you think Dwayne Haskins, I think he means Hassan Haskins, could help the workload of Derrick Henry and keep him fresh for the playoffs?
I mean, that was yesterday's show. I do believe the Titans will give Haskins carries. Do I think the Titans will give Haskins so many carries that it is noticeably different? No. I heard Joe today talking about how, he doesn't believe that Hassan Haskins is going to do anything this season if Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt. I'm not sure I'm there. I mean, I think Haskins is fine. But I think most running backs are fine. I think any running back who's not named Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor or Nick Chubb can be replaced with another guy who's also good. Like, how many guys have been good players at running back over the last 6 years? Like Le'Veon Bell.
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey.
And
Ezekiel Elliott.
All replaceable. Ezekiel Elliott might not even be the best running back on his team right now.
Tony Pollard is a dude.
He might not even be the best player on his team. Pollard might be better right now. Boy, Zeke.
But if it was in the past 6 years.
Zeke, there was some video, and videos, angles, who knows. Zeke was looking like a fat boy out there at Cowboys camp.
Thick 2Cs?
Oh, boy. I mean, this is definitely Zeke's last year with the Cowboys, but, boy, he was looking like a fat boy. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says, Farley also didn't help the team because he's not a first-round talent.
I mean, I think Farley's pretty good.
I mean, but still, I go back to, how do you know if he wasn't a first-round talent when he contributed very little because he was injured?
I mean, I would say this.
Injury was the problem.
I know why people get drafted in the first round. Like, Isaiah Wilson was absolutely 100% a first-round talent. He was 350 pounds. He had excellent feet. He was a good college player. He was strong as hell. He could go up against SEC defensive linemen and hold his own. And not only hold his own, but at times dominate guys from Florida and LSU. And, I mean, Isaiah Wilson was freaking good. He was a first-round talent. Now, he was also a first-round knucklehead. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't a first-round talent. Farley's a first-round talent. He's huge for a DB.
Yeah, he's so tall.
He's huge. He's athletic. He's built, wiry. I mean, he is absolutely a first-round talent. I'll give you Derrick Henry. When in the second round, Derrick Henry's a first-round talent. The size and the speed and the combination and the production in college, Derrick Henry's a first-round talent. Ryan Tannehill, first-round talent. 6'4", 215-pound quarterback with a good arm. He's a first-round talent. Jeffrey Simmons is obviously a first-round talent. A guy like David Long Jr., who I think is a great player, not a first-round talent.
But still a good player.
Because he's totally undersized. That's the difference.
Roger McCreary.
Not a first-round talent because he's got short arms.
But a good player.
He's got short arms. Not a first-round talent. And so to say that Caleb Farley is not a first-round talent is, in my opinion, just blatantly wrong.
Josh texts in about the wide receivers and says, I think we should all feel cautiously optimistic. I do think the Titans have better depth than they did last year. The receiver group last year felt top-heavy.
I have a lot of thoughts about the receivers. And one of them is I do wonder if John Robinson believes in this group more because he's seen it in practice. Like, I feel good about the receivers with what I've seen in practice. I wonder if it, too, has to do with the fact that everybody has a role. Robert Woods has a role. Robert Woods is going to be a high-volume, intermediate pass catcher. He might catch a deep ball or two. He's not going to be – they're not going to check it down to Robert Woods. But Robert Woods on 3rd and 7, the ball is going to Robert Woods. Burks is going to be on the other side, who's going to be kind of a big play guy, which is try to use that athleticism, try to use that – first-round talent, try to use that blow-by guys, catch the ball, shake them off, kind of like AJ. You know, use that with Treylon Burks. Kyle Phillips is going to play in the slot. Nick Westbrook-Akina is going to be able to play all those spots and be productive doing it. And Racey McMath is going to go catch the deep ball. Everybody's got a role. And I think that might be what Robinson likes, and that's certainly something I like. 615-737-1025. So Dan Graziano had a breakdown at Colts camp. Boy, they can't stop talking about how great Matt Ryan is. And one thing that I noticed in Dan Graziano's breakdown, which I believe came right from the coach who has never turned down an interview that he didn't want to have. And it wowed me, and I hope it came from the Colts, and I hope this is what they're thinking about doing. We'll get to that next. The final countdown to fall sports season is approaching, and before everyone hunkers down in the man cave, we're providing the ultimate date night opportunity. A pair of tickets to see Michael Bublé at Bridgestone Arena on Tuesday, August 16th, plus qualified to win Davidoff cigar. To win a Davidoff cigar, blend bar, cocktail, and gift card. Tune in to Chase, Willie, and D-Mace tomorrow during the noon hour with Caroline for your chance to win, brought to you by Blend Bar with Davidoff cigars.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Craig Bobus. A very similar day to yesterday here for your Wednesday. Scattered showers and storms taking us into the afternoon and into the evening hours as well. Heat and humidity will be there. We'll be in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees this afternoon.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
Trying to find a needle in a haystack? Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just 3 guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt, hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Please put up what Tom Brady accomplished once he turned 37 years old. Now, he's going to be 45 years old in how many days? 39 days or something like that. He's going to be the oldest starting quarterback in NFL history, Tom Brady, this year. So congrats, Tom Brady. But what he has accomplished since turning the same exact age as Matt Ryan currently makes me believe that this is what Matty Ice is eyeing done.
Absolutely.
Since the age of 37, this is what Tom Brady has accomplished. Super Bowl win and MVP since he turned 37. He turned 38, MVP runner-up, AFC Championship appearance. No big deal. Next year, MVP runner-up, Super Bowl win, and MVP. Next year, MVP winner, Super Bowl appearance. Next year, Super Bowl win. 2019, when he turned 42, they stunk. 2020, 40 touchdowns, Super Bowl win, and MVP. 2021, he was the MVP runner-up. Look at Matt Ryan's future, and everybody say, thank you, Matt, for coming to Indianapolis and doing this for the shoe with the roster that we have.
Yes, says Pat McAfee, that we in Indianapolis have Matt Ryan. Yes. Time now for our bi-weekly Colts discussion, which I feel like has now become a thing here. It's only because the rest of the division sucks and is not trying.
It's because it feels like a two-headed race.
Yeah.
Like it's the Colts and the Titans because the Jags and the Texans just suck.
Well, like for instance, if this was a show that covered the Packers, like we cover the Titans, I'm not sure there's anybody that we would talk about like this.
Or if this is the NFC South and we're in Tampa Bay.
Right.
If we're in
Tampa Bay,
the Falcons
or Green Bay, we're talking about, so let's say we're in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
We're talking about Green Bay, the Rams, maybe the 49ers.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's who we're talking about. Here, we're talking about the Colts. And Dan Graziano went and did his camp tour. The Colts are, in my opinion, one of the most media-friendly teams in the league, especially to the national media, because they think narratives and PR matter on the football field, unlike Mike Vrabel, who absolutely does not. And so Dan Graziano did his camp tour. He went to Indianapolis, and I got to believe some of this stuff comes right from the coach. Quote, and I thought this was great, quote, "The Colts hope the offense can be more balanced this year with Matt Ryan in command. As last year went along, the coaching staff struggled to get Carson Wentz to eschew the downfield hero throws in favor of simpler, more available stuff. That's a big reason why they leaned so hard on running back Jonathan Taylor last year to minimize the risks Wentz was inclined to take in the passing game. With Ryan," Graziano writes, "they believe they can utilize play action more effectively and get the ball in the hands of Nyheim Hines in helpful ways and just be more unpredictable for defenses in general." I hope that's so true. I hope that is so true. I love that thinking. I love the thinking from Frank Reich of, I want to be more balanced. I want to throw the ball more. I want to get Nyheim Hines involved in the passing game more. I love it. You know why?
Because I don't think it's going to work. Well, because that's the fewer times that Jonathan Taylor has the ball is best for everyone.
Yes.
But I think it's hilarious because if I'm Frank Reich, I'm saying give the ball to Jonathan Taylor on every single down. And if it stops working, then we'll reevaluate.
Graziano writes, Jonathan Taylor's going to be the number one pick in every fantasy draft, and he should be. But I'm telling you, Graziano writes, the Colts want to get Hines back to what he was pre-2021.
Why would you do that? Why would you fix it if it ain't broke?
Because Frank Reich's a dumbass. Can I say that on the air?
Sure. You can now.
All right.
He's a dingus.
That's why. Frank Reich is a freaking moron. That's why.
Oh, that's...
If I was a Colts fan, I would be freaking furious if I was reading this stuff about, hey, this is the Little League Baseball crap of everybody has to play. Where everybody needs to get the carries. Everybody needs to be involved in the offense. Everybody needs to touch the football. I'm sorry, Jonathan Taylor. I know you might be the third best player in the NFL, but we have got to get the ball in Matt Ryan's hands so we can throw it to Alec Pierce.
What would you do if Mike Vrabel said, we really want to make sure that Dontrell Hilliard gets his fair share?
In all fairness, we did spend yesterday talking about should they give more carries to other people.
But that's for different reasons, because Derrick Henry is not 24 like Jonathan Taylor is. If Derrick Henry was 24, would we be talking about Dontrell Hilliard and Hassan Haskins? Probably not.
I mean, I'll say this. The only reason that I'll entertain the idea of giving the ball to other people is because last year when Derrick Henry was hurt and they gave the ball to other people ran okay. I'm not taking the ball out of Jonathan
But not all
Taylor's
of
hands.
other people are on this team.
And I'll give you an example of Frank Reich's stupidity. They lost to the Titans by 9 points last year at Nissan Stadium in a game in which the Titans did not play well at all. And the Titans, Carson Wentz was hurt in that game, and I don't know why it won't let me click on the box score of that game, but I believe that Jonathan Taylor averaged something ridiculous like 7.5 yards a crack. And I think he got it 9 times. And
what?
This goes back to Frank Reich. Here you go, Colts. Taylor, 10 carries for 64 yards. Including a 23-yarder. So Jonathan Taylor averaged 6.5 yards a carry, and Nyheim Hines got 6 carries for the Colts last year.
So Frank Reich was saying, hey, Jonathan Taylor, you're playing too well. We're going to keep the ball in our quarterback's hands who have 2 broken ankles.
No need to give you the ball.
Nope. That's working too well. So we're going to make it difficult on ourselves.
I love it. I freaking love it. I love this. Oh, please do this, Frank Reich. Please put the ball in Matt Ryan's hands this year. Please get Nyheim Hines involved in the passing game. Please be more unpredictable this year. Please. It's so stupid.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's so laughable. And I will say this. If Frank Reich was the coach of the Titans, I would be begging for the Titans to fire Frank Reich after last year. Begging. I am now praying at night before I go to bed. I sit down, I get on my knees, and I put my hands in the praying position, and I look up to the heavens, and I say, please keep Frank Reich as the coach of the Colts. Because this is what happens, in my opinion, with people. First of all, Frank Reich's a quarterback. And Matt Ryan was asked about Frank Reich on Adam Shine yesterday. And Matt Ryan was like, Frank's a quarterback, and I can appreciate working for a coach that's a quarterback. Yeah. Frank's a quarterback. And so no matter how hard or how simple, honestly, it is to say, give the ball to the freaking beast in the backfield, put the defense out there, run it 30 times, and just play ball and tell the quarterback, hey, make the simple throws, and basically what the Titans want Tannehill to do. The quarterback can't do that. Like, the quarterback head coach cannot do that. He cannot, it's not in his genes to win like that. Whereas with Vrabel, if Tannehill didn't have to throw the ball in a single game, Vrabel wouldn't want to throw it.
But I understand having that quarterback mentality, but at what point is it just do whatever it takes for your team to win?
You have to be a good coach to do that.
Oh.
Have to be a good coach.
No one ever accused Frank Reich of being that.
So Kyle Shanahan, I don't think, although he did take the ball out of Garoppolo's hands in the playoffs a couple years ago, but I don't think Shanahan can just get away from the pass because he's one of those quarterback guys. I believe.
Also, the 49ers run the football a good bit.
They do, but I mean completely go away from it if they don't have to. Now, he did in that Minnesota playoff game when Jimmy turned it over. So maybe I'm cutting Shanahan short. Maybe I'm thinking too much of that Falcons Super Bowl. But again, put it in Matt Ryan's hands, please. Because if I'm, as a Titan fan, and I never hear people talk about this, when I hear people talk about the difference between the Titans and the Colts, I always hear, well, is it Tannehill or Matt Ryan, who's better? Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, who's better? Whose offensive line's better? Whose secondary's better?
Talk about Reich versus Vrabel.
Well, that's important. But what is most important to me is the difference in the schedule, where the Titans have to play Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, and the Colts get to play Mitchell Trubisky, that ungodly mess of an offense apparently at practice in New England.
Mac Jones.
And Kirk Cousins instead. Mm-hmm. Well, that's such a big deal to me because even if the Titans are better than the Colts and beat them twice, that's 2 games. Well, that difference in the schedule is 3. Mm-hmm. But if Frank Reich's going to be so stupid and put the ball in Matt Ryan's hands, then I think they're going to lose more games than they should just by not, like, they're going to actively lose games that they shouldn't lose because they just didn't turn around and hand the ball off to Taylor. And that's all they have to do is turn around and hand it to Taylor, and they will win at least 9 games right away off the top without there being any chance of the Colts losing. They will at least be 9-8. Now, can Matt Ryan win them a couple of more games? I think he probably can. So now they're a 12-win squad. Well, if you put the ball in Matt Ryan's hands, you are not as likely, in my opinion, to win as they would be if they just ran the ball with Jonathan Taylor.
Well, Matt Ryan's not a dumb guy.
He throws a lot of death picks, though.
But also, if they're so obsessed with Matt Ryan in Indianapolis and he's going to play a big part in picking the pass catchers for this team, then how much influence will Matt Ryan have in play calling as well? At what point will Matt Ryan say, look, we just got to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor?
I don't know if Matt Ryan has that in him. I don't know that.
I mean, in Indy, they're talking about he was the greatest leader since sliced bread.
Did Matt Ryan have the cojones to look over at the sideline against the Patriots and say, we got to run the ball?
No. That cost them the Super Bowl.
And it wasn't like Matt Ryan was a third-year player at that point. I mean, he was 30 when that happened. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. John Robinson is loving the Titan receivers. Is the new and improved Ryan Tannehill the reason why? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Heads up. 106.3 FM is a new way to hear 102.5 The Game from downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and on I-24 to Murfreesboro.
Make sure you have that preset on your radio dial.
We're making it even easier to listen to Nashville's best sports talk.
Because we have a great show planned for you today.
Tune in to 106.3.
That's what makes this team better.
And hear the difference.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage. Whether you're buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
I'm Cindy Mae Johnson from Mountaintop Media in the beautiful Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky, where flash floods have taken lives and destroyed homes. The news can never accurately convey how much help is needed. If you're willing or able to help, even a little, please donate to the East Kentucky Dream Center on Venmo or at ekdc.info. Thank you for your prayers and support.
Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, is observing a significant milestone this month. Our founder, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 50th year as president. Joining Bud with anniversaries of their own are Max Hurst and Scott Meyer with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and Ryan Burke in our sales department is also celebrating 1 year with us. From 1 year to 50 years, Cromwell Media is a great place to work, and you're invited to join us. Send an email to together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. So the Titans will be on the field tomorrow against the Ravens. Don't know who will play, though I do know who will not play. Ryan Tannehill will not play. Robert Woods will not play. Derrick Henry will not play. Jeffrey Simmons will not play. Kevin Byard will not play.
Taylor Lewan will not play.
Taylor Lewan will not play. Those guys will not play. But that's okay, because through practice, the Titans are feeling pretty good about some questions on their team, including, as John Robinson brought up in the SiriusXM NFL radio tour, he brought up the wide receiving core, and obviously John Robinson's feeling pretty good about his receivers.
Yeah, I think that group's doing a great job. You know, the sky was falling before we started training camp, but, you know, those guys that have came in, they put the work in. From Robert Woods to Burks to Westbrook to Phillips. I mean, go down the line with all of them. They've all made plays in this training camp. I'm excited to watch those guys, coupled with the tight ends that we've added, you know, the passing targets for Ryan and the quarterback group. And they're doing a really nice job.
So everything was complimentary, and he took that crack at everybody that was doubting the Titans receiving core. And I started to think about, because I agree with Robinson. What I've seen at training camp is that way. And I wonder how much the new and improved Ryan Tannehill is for the optimism surrounding the wide receiver position. In fact, I asked Tannehill after he brought up the fact that he's been more vocal, holding guys more accountable. As Mike Vrabel said, it was intentional that it's been this way. Tannehill said on Monday he's pushing those receivers harder. Are you pushing these guys harder?
Yeah, I think so. Probably so. You know, I think I'm trying to push these guys each and every day. Like I said, don't want to take any day for granted out here, but I'm going to try to push them and get the best out of them, as well as myself. You know, I'm pushing myself, trying to get the best out of myself. So if we can all do that, if everyone who steps foot on that field can push themselves, and the leaders can push the guys around us to get the best out of everybody, we're going to be a really good football team. Okay. Do we think, yay or nay, that the new and improved Tannehill, the holding guys more accountable Tannehill, do we think that that is why the Titans receiving core looks just so much more organized this year than they ever did last year? Go.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely have seen a difference this year versus last year in Tannehill. More accountability, more intense, I guess, is maybe the right word in all avenues. You know, being more vocal with receivers, just taking more ownership of the team. I guess intense is the right word to use. I don't know if it's Tannehill that's, you know, bringing the troops together, or is this just overall a more organized group of receivers? Is this, you know, a Julio Jones-less wide receiver core who we saw, you know, has been was in and out all the time? Is it an A.J. Brown-less wide receiver core, who I understand A.J. Brown is a very good player, but also we've seen maybe not the easiest player to get on with. I would say, is it Ryan Tannehill, or is it the veteran presence of Robert Woods that's kind of bringing this wide receiver core together and making it look a little bit more organized?
Ian, is it Tannehill pushing the guys more, or is it that they just have better guys out there?
I don't know. That is a good question because talent-wise, Julio and AJ probably – Julio wasn't the same Julio, but as far as talent, I would think AJ and Julio might be more talented just in general, But I do think there's something to the fact of them not being on the same page a lot last year, them trying to get more on the same page this year, new faces, saw how that worked out. So part of me feels like it's a little bit of a combination of things. I think it is a little bit of Tannehill, and I also think it is a little bit of Robert Woods. I like that point that Caroline made, and I do wonder where Tim Kelly plays into this as a passing game coordinator.
And also year 2 for Downing.
I think Tim Kelly might just be like a glorified tight ends coach.
You think so?
Yeah. And the way that...
But why do you think that?
Because when Vrabel was asked about him before training camp, he talked about how Matt LaFleur had Arthur Smith had Todd Downing, and now Todd Downing has
Tim Kelly.
Tim Kelly. And when they split up for individual periods, Tim Kelly's with the tight ends. Luke Steckel's coaching him, and Luke Steckel's a great coach.
Yeah.
But Tim Kelly is over there with the tight ends. So I almost feel like, my opinion, that Tim Kelly, I don't even think about Tim Kelly with this. Maybe I'm wrong. I think there's a couple things at play here.
I do think Tannehill being more assertive in what he wants to do will help the offense.
It's definitely a part of it, for sure.
I think that's a big part of it. I think a part of it is the Titans decided that they wanted to be more accountable at wide receiver. I think the Titans decided we want a more accountable group. So instead of Julio Jones, who even when they traded for him, they knew, hey, he's not going to practice very much, but just deal with it, get him to the game, and let it go.
Yeah.
They don't want that anymore. Like, they want guys to practice. They want guys to show up.
Henry.
They want guys.
Even
AJ
didn't
Derrick
practice a lot.
That's my point. They don't want that.
Maybe a new mentality shift in the wide receiver room as well.
So they want more accountability, or maybe not even accountability, dependability. They want more dependability out of the wide receivers. So what they went out and they did was they went out and got probably the most dependable guy out there in Robert Woods. The guy who, when he left, Cooper Kupp pinned this giant memo of how Robert Woods made everything go because he's dependable. And Robert Woods has done everything that they've asked. And the biggest problem they had with Treylon Burks early on was, could they depend on him? And now I think they feel more comfortable that they can depend on him because the biggest challenge that they gave him of, hey, you got to get your ass in shape. Mm-hmm. He went out there and he did. And I think they love Nick Westbrook-Akina because Nick Westbrook-Akina is dependable.
Dependable, available, flexible.
I believe Dez Fitzpatrick going into training camp was the fourth guy in their minds. I think Dez has slipped because McMath has outperformed him, but they love the fact that Dez Fitzpatrick, off-season player of the year award winner, that he was dependable. And I think that they've decided, Ryan, we're going to get you guys that you can depend on. But then you have to make sure that they know what you want. Instead of you, talking about Ryan Tannehill, instead of Ryan Tannehill worrying about, don't want to rock the boat, or I want this guy to be able to figure out what he wants to do and then tell me, no. You tell everybody what you want. You tell them where you want them to be. You tell them, again, it sounds more selfish when it is you decide what we do. You're the king. You're the guy in charge. You're the dictator of the offense. But that's what they need. And that's where I think this has come up. And that goes back to that interview over the weekend where my head popped up when he kept talking about guys making plays for him. I do think that this new approach from Tannehill, I don't know how long it can last. Because I don't know if Tannehill's got that steel rod in his rear end that I think guys like Matt Ryan probably have and have had. I don't know if Tannehill can truly look at a guy and say, if you don't do what I say, I'm just not going to give you the ball. I don't know if he can do that in the season. But I think they've given him a group of guys that will do what he says without the bickering and the prodding or the Terrell Owens or Des Bryant on the sidelines yelling at the quarterback. That they've given him guys that won't do that, but they've told him, we're going to meet you halfway, give you guys that you can count on, but then you have to tell these guys exactly what you want them to do, and then you have to do it. Brady once told Matt Castle, or yelled at Matt Castle, and Matt Castle told the story. And I like Matt Castle a lot. I don't think he was very good, but I like him as a guy. Matt Castle told the story that one time in Patriots practice when Brady was the backup, Matt Castle was taking a snap and there was motion on the other side of the play, and Castle had to motion the receiver or the tight end or whatever it was. And Castle, because the quarterback has a million things going on at one time in the span of 2.5 seconds, Castle forgot to motion the receiver over. Castle takes the snap, play develops, hits the guy, big gain, everybody's happy, and Brady just freaking smoked his rear end on the sidelines. And Castle's like, Tommy, we completed the pass. What are you talking about? And he said, how can you hold everybody accountable if you don't do your job? And I think that is an approach that Vrabel has seen year after year after year. And I think he has decided last year was the year of excuses. Last year was, is it the offensive line's fault? Is it the coach's fault? Is it Tannehill's fault? Is it Julio's fault? Can't blame Julio. Julio's hamstring. Can't expect that. They went to Pittsburgh last year, and McMath fumbled the ball, and Ferkser fumbled the ball, and Westbrook-Akina dropped the ball. And remember the 4th and 12 play that ended the game where Tannehill threw short of the sticks? And the question all week was, did Westbrook-Akina not run far enough, or did Tannehill not throw it far enough, or should Tannehill have thrown it to somebody who was going to be past the sticks? Or
Did
no
Todd
more.
Downing call a play short of the sticks?
Right, no more. We're not doing that anymore. I think the Titans have decided we're not doing that anymore. And what that has led to is getting dependable guys, which is part of the reason why AJ's probably not here anymore. I think it was getting dependable guys and telling Ryan Tannehill, the onus is on you. I think this is brilliant. We talked about this Monday, and I still haven't articulated it particularly how I feel about it. Like, I haven't been able to get what I truly feel. I believe that the Titans know this is Tannehill's last chance, and Tannehill knows that this is Tannehill's last chance. And instead of babying him, or instead of micromanaging him, they've actually given him more authority because they believe that Tannehill, and I would believe that this would be for any quarterback, that any quarterback who's going to lead the team has to be given that level of authority to succeed. And they've told Tannehill, we're going to give you this authority, but then you have to hold the guys accountable with it. And if you fail, don't tell me, my receiver he was supposed to be. And I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. We're giving you everything. And I think it's brilliant by Vrabel. But yeah, I think Tannehill's a big part of this.
And I do wonder, we ask, where did this more getting on receivers mentality come from with Tannehill? I do wonder how much of it is fueled by the fact that Tannehill knows this is my last chance. And if you drop the ball, that also makes me look bad. That's on me as well.
I'm going to tell you where I think it comes from.
Where?
Vrabel. I think it's Vrabel.
And how much of it is AJ didn't want to be held accountable?
That's what I wonder if that's hard to do when you're talking to guys like AJ and Julio, who have
this mentality of like, I'm the
Don't
best.
tell me what
kind
to
of
do.
like, like, is that hard to do to go up there and kind of like demand a lot of that compared to NWI? And Woods is probably open to that, knowing he's got a new quarterback. You know,
I mean,
like,
I would
Traylon
liken
Burks
this
a rookie.
personally.
Yeah,
I would liken this personally to my relationship with Chase. Right? Like, I mean, ultimately Chase is the program director, so he's the one calling the plays. But I mean, I don't think that the show would be very good if Chase was like, hey, I want you to talk this topic, this topic, this topic. I feel like it has to happen organically in this role. I feel like the host of a show has to be able, because I don't think I could be passionate about the topics that we talk about if I was told to be passionate about them, as opposed to just being passionate about what we talk about every day.
Well, I think we operate under a do-your-job mentality.
Sure. And I think that there is a certain level of authority that we have to do this show, and that if things get bad, then, now look, I think that it's pretty obvious that there are a lot of conversations that are had with Chase and previously with Ryan of the don't do this. Trust me. Because I've wanted to. When I'm somebody who pushes the envelope, there's a big fear of pushing the envelope a little too far. And but again, I'm not sure that I could do what I do on a daily basis if I didn't have the leeway in my head to kind of have the authority of, all right, this is what we're going to do and this is where we're going to take it. And I think that's why we succeed. And I think that's the case with a guy like Brady. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the case with Manning when they talk about him and his success. And that ultimately the Green Bay Packers, if you are the Packers, they got to give Aaron Rodgers some respect and leeway and authority, because ultimately this team is going to win the Super Bowl or not because of Aaron. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phone calls on this. 615-737-1025. Plus, Joe Rexrode had a take this morning on the new Tannehill that everybody's talking about. We'll get to Joe's thoughts. Stillman and Company right here. Let me tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my friends at Hiller. They take fantastic care of my home, and they can do the same for you. It is back to school season, and Hiller is giving you backyard upgrades all month long. So tackle those necessary home replacements in August by taking advantage of these special deals that include a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood pellet grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and Hiller is also going to keep you cool for back to school with special limited time financing promotions on HVAC replacements. 0% interest financing for up to 12 months on select new HVAC systems. There's no better time to make sure your family is comfortable for the last bit of warm weather before things start to get cold. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys, call the Happy Face Truck today. Proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic every Saturday morning at 9.
I've got my extra large coffee.
As she talks about the big stories of the week.
Predators news, the Tennessee Titans.
And looks ahead to the weekend.
Oh, I'm so excited.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Great news, hockey players. Perani's Hockey World's annual summer clearance sale is back. Swing by one of their 3 Nashville locations for big savings on your favorite brands. August 4th through 14th at your local Perani's Hockey World.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
When looking for quality recreational sports in Nashville, look no further than Mid-State Sports. With over 25,000 participants, they're one of the largest sports organizations in the Southeast. Fall registration is now open for youth soccer for boys and girls aged 3 to 13. Registration is also open for adult sports like softball, sand volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball, and basketball. For a full list of youth and adult sports leagues, check out midstatesports.com.
It's on, it's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Brian, you've been through a lot of camps, obviously, in your career. Has there been anything different about this one for you personally? Anything that stood out? You know, how you're playing, how you approached it, anything?
I don't know. You know, I try to approach every day with a intention and a purpose to get as much as I can out of the day. You know, whether it's leading the guys, pushing myself, trying to get something out of each and every day. I don't take for granted the opportunity to come out here and work and to get better and push the guys around me. And it's a lot of fun for me to have these conversations with our guys and then have it show up in a team rep or a 7-on-7 rep and we make the play. You know, that gives me a lot of energy, a lot of juice, just knowing that, hey, I see something on tape, I go to a guy, have the conversation, next time it comes up in a practice rep, we're able to hit it. So just seeing that happen several times over the course of this camp so far gives me a lot of confidence of the ability to be able to take that throughout the season, seeing something on tape and be able to translate it to a game rep and making a play.
So how can Ryan Tannehill go from me asking him if he's pushing the guys harder, saying yes, and then saying, no, you know, every practice I work really, every day I live with a purpose that has every camp so I guess no new and improved Tannehill according to Tannehill.
Well, that's because they lie.
I know, but, you know, I like Tannehill. He's a good man. Now, Tannehill's not the only one that says there's not this new and improved Tannehill. Although Mike Vrabel called it intentional for the changes Tannehill has made, which means obviously there's a difference. Joe Rexrode this morning on Robbie and Rexrode. Joe does not buy this idea of the new, more vocal, more accountable, more dependable Ryan Tannehill.
Selling. I'm selling the Tannehill's a different guy. He's not a different guy. He's playing well, and that's fine. You want to play well. You want to practice well. He's thrown a couple picks. He hasn't been perfect. Last camp, he threw like 5 picks. He, day in, day out, threw the ball well. He leads the football team. He's good. He's going to be good in the regular season, and we'll see. But how good he'll be in the regular season, I think still depends a lot on what's happening in front of him.
So I think there was some revisionist history from Joe there. First of all, I have no idea how many picks Ryan Tannehill threw in camp. I know he threw 5 in the first 5 days. And
last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And considering that I have said that 1,000 times, that's where Joe is getting he threw 5 last year. No, he threw 5 in the first 5 days. I don't know how many he threw overall. 2, he did not have a good camp last year. Where is this coming from? Because Joe has said that, he was fine in training camp. I don't know. We only complained about it every day. He did not have a good regular season last year. He was horrible in the regular season. Horrible. It wasn't like Tannehill last season had an okay regular season and then had a monumental pants crapping in the playoffs. He was awful the whole year. That's why he dropped in every ranking. He had a bad playoff game in 2020, but that didn't drop him from anything because he had a good season. He had a bad season last year. And he looks totally different now. Now, I don't know if the Tannehill getting on the receivers, if that's going to continue in the season. I don't know if when the pressure hits Tannehill, if he's going to do what he did in 2019 and run with it, or if he's going to turtle up like he did last year in the Cincinnati game. I don't know anything about that. But to act like Ryan Tannehill is the same guy that we saw in training camp last year is not true. To act like he had a good regular season last year is not reality. Everybody can agree that he was terrible in the postseason.
Oh, that's easy.
But, I mean, this idea of he only threw 5 picks last year. No, he threw 5 in the first 5 practices. I don't know how many he threw overall.
But also, I mean, like to your point, how many games did Ryan Tannehill win for the Titans last year?
1.
Seattle?
At Houston.
Okay.
Derrick Henry won the Seattle game.
Okay. So that's 1 game.
1 game.
And how many did he throw away?
Oh, God. Texans.
3 or 4.
Texans. Steelers.
Obviously Cincinnati. That's an easy
Cincinnati.
one. It's tough to say that he lost the Patriots game because those turnovers weren't him.
He
didn't lose that game.
And he had no help. I mean, that one.
Jets.
Had no. I mean, he sucked in the Jets game. They gave up a bunch of sacks. He did bring them back at the end, but then he took that delay a game in overtime, which made it from a 44-yard kick to a 49-yard kick. And, of course, Big Boy missed the 49-yard kick. So, I don't know. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I just don't believe Joe's revisionist history. Joe has decided in his head that Tannehill didn't have a bad training camp last year. And he absolutely did. And now it's turned in.
I don't know if he's denying that or if he's just saying it doesn't matter.
Oh my God, listen to that clip again where he was fine in the regular season. He wasn't fine last year in the regular season.
I'm talking about camp.
I know, but he wasn't fine there. Joe's convinced himself because he heard me say 500 times that he had 5 picks, that he only had 5 picks, period. That he threw picks in the first, he threw 5 picks in the first 5 practices and then didn't throw another pick the rest of the time. I don't believe that.
I mean, if you throw 5 in 5 practices, I can't believe that you didn't throw any more. I don't remember, honestly.
I cannot believe that he only threw 5 and then stopped throwing them. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. I did promise your phones. Jerry is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing today?
Good.
One of the things I believe is that Tannehill is not intimidated by having divas at the wide receiver position, and now he's more taking charge because he's the main name instead of all names around him.
So you said he's not intimidated, or he is intimidated by divas at wide receiver?
That he's not intimidated now because last year he had Julio Jones and Brown. That now he's not intimidated because he's the main name and not them being the main and he's in the background.
Fair call. Do you think Tannehill, thank you for your call, Jerry. Do you think that Tannehill can deal with confrontation with divas?
Honestly, probably not.
So remember, Jarvis Landry freaking hated him in Miami.
Yeah, and Jarvis Landry does have a bit of diva in him.
Oh, Jarvis Landry's a total diva. Remember he wanted $20 million a year when he got cut by the Browns?
Yeah.
And he ended up getting like 3?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think that there's a good bit of truth to that because we were discussing this earlier about how much did Tannehill feel ownership whenever, A.J. Brown and Julio were such big names and were such diva-esque receivers. How much were they going to listen to Tannehill? And how much did that just kind of squash Tannehill's confidence that he felt like he didn't have any control over them?
So A.J. kind of grew up with Tannehill. A.J. was a rookie when Tannehill got put in as quarterback, so I don't think that there was a problem between.
But how much did A.J.'s attitude change?
I mean, I think the attitude that they really struggled with was the attitude about the contract. I don't think that had anything to do with
Which is more like postseason?
Yeah, that didn't have anything to do with Tannehill. I do wonder what the confrontation level or what the discussion level of Tannehill
with
Julio Jones was, but I'm not convinced Julio acted like a diva here. I just think Julio couldn't get on the field and that he couldn't develop any chemistry with Julio, and maybe that was why the Titans decided to release Julio, was because Tannehill sat down with them at the end of the year and was like, I can't build a rapport with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how am I supposed to? And so the Titans said, look, if our starting quarterback is saying he can't build a rapport with Julio, what's the point of keeping him on the team? Whereas now he's like, oh, yeah, I'm building great chemistry with Robert Woods. Oh, yeah.
Austin Hooper.
Nick Westbrook Akina's making great plays for me. And then he freaking rips Kyle Phillips' ass. I mean, I think that's at least a little telling. But to say that Tannehill's not the same guy, I think it is fair that Tannehill may not be able to handle the big personality receiver.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one in the league that can't. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We're back to your wonderful phone calls. And we will do that coming up next, 615-737-1025. There is one thing. I hear John Robinson all giddy about the wide receivers this year. There is one thing that bothers me about the wide receivers that I can't get out of my head. We'll do that coming up next, Stillman and Company. Right here, 102.5-1063 The Game. Hey, right now, the first day of school is happening, and showing up in new clothes is always something every kid wants that opportunity to have, especially new shoes. Well, for some children, in fact, thousands of them in Middle Tennessee, they are going to be embarrassed on their first week of school because they don't have a decent pair of shoes to wear, and we want to change that. Souls for Music City is our cause, so please consider joining us with a simple $20 donation. That's all it takes to put a new pair of athletic shoes on the feet of a homeless child in Middle Tennessee. Just text DONATE to 615-737-1025 right now and help make a difference in the life of a single child. That's DONATE to 615-737-1025. And again, that's Souls for Music City.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 10th, we're running a one-day end-of-summer special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. We can now effectively treat your ED without any pills. If you're ready to transform your love life, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that, guys. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, worth $1,000, but call today Wednesday and qualify totally free. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 615-576-5000.
33 hours of savings this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Electronic Express. These deals are so hot, they only last 33 hours. Get a Hisense 65-inch 4K TV for just $399 or a JBL Bluetooth speaker for just $99. Save up to 50% on 4K TVs, computers, housewares, appliances, and more. Don't miss out on a Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 for $229 or a Medea laundry pair for just $399 each. Now through Saturday, shop online or at all Electronic Express locations.
Tennessee has never been a stranger to progress, and with all the changes going on, people want an affordable way to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. At Farm Bureau Health Plans, helping people find peace of mind has never gone out of style. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and pay time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series against the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park.
Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds Baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
He's going to have to hang on to the ball for a second and try and find someone over the middle. Here comes the rush. Here's the throw. Oh, what a tackle by Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden, look at the far. The receiver was not able to get to the line to gain. Short of the line to gain. It is first down, Pittsburgh.
There you go. That was the end of the Steelers game last year, where Nick Westbrook-Akina did not get to the sticks. Tannehill threw it short. We don't know who to blame. Everybody was pointing fingers. And that's the hard part I have with the Titans receivers. I know John Robinson's excited about the receivers. What I've seen with my eyes, the receivers, the younger guys have grown up. McMath, who fumbled in that Steeler game. But I keep thinking, every time I get excited about the Titans wide receivers. Now, I do like Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods is legit. Robert Woods, yes. Burks, talent, and he shows out, and I think he'll be a solid number 2. But Westbrook-Akina dropped what could have been a touchdown in that game, and Westbrook-Akina was short of the sticks on that 4th down at the end of that Steeler game, and McMath had a huge fumble in that game, and Kyle Phillips is a 5th-round rookie out of UCLA. And so I'm supposed to buy that because they've practiced well. But I keep thinking about the Steeler game. I can't stop thinking about the Steeler game, where that Steeler team sucked.
That was a bad quarterback, bad Steeler team.
That was a bad
The
loss.
only reason why they even squeaked into the playoffs was because Brandon Staley's an idiot.
That Steeler team sucked. And because they won that game that the Titans just freaking choked. That Steeler team, like, we look at last year's losses and we say, Texans, bad loss. Jets, bad loss. Arizona, the Patriots, the Steelers, they all made the playoffs. No. That was
Steelers was a bad loss. Texans were a bad loss. Jets was a bad loss.
I want to say it was 14-0 Titans early, and Anthony Ferguson fumbled the ball, and that kind of got the Steelers back in the game. And McMath fumbled, and Tannehill threw an interception, and I think Tannehill fumbled a snap, and he threw short of the sticks on 4th down. That was a bad loss. That was a bad loss by the Titans last year. So as much as I love the receivers, as much as I agree with John Robinson, when John Robinson says he's feeling good about the receivers, the one thing I'll say is, ooh, that Steeler game last year. It just lives in my craw. It is festering. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com.
Shane from Ashland City texts in and says, you do realize that these excuses are what sucky quarterbacks use. When you suck, you really suck when surrounded by star players.
Is that true?
I mean, it's easier to blame a bad quarterback or to say that a quarterback is bad whenever you play poorly and you have good weapons around you.
So this is what I think about loser talk. Loser talk is we should have won. That is loser talk. We haven't absolved Ryan Tannehill of any blame for what happened last year.
No.
And Ryan Tannehill has not looked, outside of his lack of talking to the media, Ryan Tannehill has not looked for people to take the blame of last year off of him. So I don't think it's, hey, this is a sign of a suck quarterback, is that when he has Julio in and out of the lineup half the time and he can't win. Is this the sign that Ryan Tannehill isn't Tom Brady, who can roll out there with who was he throwing to last year? Cyril Grayson Jr.? Because Antonio Brown lost his crap on the sidelines? Like that, he's not Tom Brady.
Accused of Ryan Tannehill of being Tom Brady.
He's
and
not
nobody's
Tom
asked
Brady.
him to be Tom Brady. But also,
Could Joe
I
Burrow
don't
win
like
with crap wide receivers?
No, he didn't.
Could he?
Could he?
I don't know.
Well, he did in his first year, but how much of that is rookie quarterback?
I mean,
and how
he
much
had
of that is
great. Well, he didn't have Jamar Chase though.
No,
but he did have good wide receivers, and he did have
he
AJ
had T.
Green.
Higgins.
He had Tyler Boyd.
But that's what I think is dangerous about this 2021 on paper roster talk, because we can say that, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are a more talented wide receiver duo than, say, Robert Woods and Treylon Burks.
I mean, we begged him not to trade for Julio Jones because we knew what was going to happen.
But isn't a consistent Robert Woods and Treylon Burks better than an inconsistent and always hurt A.J. Brown and Julio Jones?
So I separate this. Yes, Robert Woods is better than Julio Jones. Because Julio couldn't get on the field.
Because Julio Jones is not available.
We begged him, do not trade for Julio. We begged them, and they did it. Woods, I remember where I was. I was at Bridgestone Arena when Tennessee was playing Michigan in the Sweet 16, or whatever round it was that Rick Barnes screwed up. Second round. They didn't get to the Sweet 16. I think it was the second round.
No, it was the second round, yeah.
Yeah, so I was at Bridgestone Arena, second round of the NCAA basketball tournament, while the Preds were playing a hockey game, and I saw on a Saturday night that the Titans traded for Robert Woods, and I was like, that's a good trade, which was the exact opposite of how I felt when they traded for Julio. Julio was a bad trade. Robert Woods, good trade. That was a good trade. And so, again, I say this because I do think that if it's just Julio for Woods, that's a good trade, and it will pay significant dividends for the Titans. The second thing is AJ. AJ was in and out of the lineup, but when AJ was in the lineup, he was good, including the Cincinnati game, in which AJ almost single-handedly, literally, with one hand, almost got the Titans back into that game. Will Burks be better than that? Will the combination of Burks and Woods be better than that? And then the second thing, too, is the other three guys. I think McMath, Westbrook-Akina, and Phillips have all made the team. And I think that McMath is significantly improved from last year. Like, is way more consistent. He makes really hard catches when Malik Willis throws the ball 8 feet behind him. He is now a deep ball threat and has caught multiple deep balls from Tannehill in practice. I think Westbrook-Akina looks the part of a legitimate NFL receiver, which last year it was, he's not as bad as the other guys, but let's
Fringy.
see. I mean, he definitely has improved. The receiver core should be better than they were last year. But then again, it's practice.
And you can expect more consistency this year, because we're not going into this year thinking that somebody is going to be hurt, which we did with
Woods
Julio.
will give them consistency.
We did with Julio. We were concerned from the jump that he wasn't going to be able to be available.
What was that Field Yates nerd talk about Robert
Target
Woods?
share.
Target share, average round, draft grade, analytic.
That is not something.
Air
that's
yards
real.
per target, something fun like that.
Is that the stupid bull crap they have?
They have air yards, like, yeah, how far deep the paths goes and all that kind of
They
stuff.
always try and get like very complicated with fantasy football, but at the end of the day, like just have good guys on your team.
Well, that's like he talked
It's
about.
not that
target share.
complicated.
Well,
Right.
Fantasy's tricky, and they love volume.
Yeah.
Fantasy people, they want people who are going to get opportunity. So some people, to them, like volume and opportunity is almost more valuable than the actual player.
Sure.
Like
so,
Hunter Henry was a good volume guy to add, but
absolutely.
not a great player, but good volume guy.
What do we have?
One texter checks in and says, none of these guys can make AJ plays. Who will we throw to when we need it? Woods will be doubled
Woods.
for sure.
It'll be Woods. Woods will be the guy. 3rd and 7, big spot, Woods. Now, here's the thing about that, though, with Tannehill. The 2019 Tannehill used to spread the ball around like crazy. I remember the Titans' punt return has been a problem for the Titans. I mean, honestly, since John Robinson, when was the last time the Titans had a good punt returner? Mariani and Jeff Fisher's last year.
It was supposed to be Adoree Jackson, but that didn't pan out.
Darius Raynaud.
I mean, didn't he catch the opening kickoff and step back for a 2-point safety?
Yeah, against the Steelers.
Yeah,
in
so I don't know
2013,
if I
and
count that.
He freaking sucked. So the Titans haven't had
Pac-Man.
a good. Pac-Man was
He
freaking
was
awesome.
fun.
Pac-Man was electric back there. So the Titans haven't had a good punt returner in eons, and so, now. Oh, what was the point I was making? What did the texter say?
About, let me pull it up.
Not having a good punt returner,
Oh.
that's all I know.
Who will Tannehill throw to when he needs it?
Oh, yeah, okay. So in 2019, Khalif Raymond was returning punts, and they played a game against the Saints. And Tannehill was so locked in 2019. TD and I were texting over the weekend about something, and we were talking about the efficiency of Tannehill in 2019. And Tannehill in 2019 was so efficient. I mean, he looked like Greg Maddux at quarterback. And it was just guile and finesse. And it was just beauty. And he would spread the ball around like crazy. So they play the Saints without Derrick Henry. They almost win the game. The only reason they lose is because Jerome Boger's crap crew misses an obvious decapitation of Khalif Raymond. And so Khalif Raymond has a concussion, and he's out. And he's the only guy on the team that can return a punt. So they sign a guy off the practice squad named Rashard Davis, who I had never heard of in my entire life. So they're playing the Texans with the season on the line. The Texans are running out there a preseason team because they've already clinched their playoff spot. And Rashard Davis is active on this last game day simply because he can return punts. It honestly is go back there and call for a fair catch, and that's all we want out of you. And he goes back there. And at one point in that game, Ryan Tannehill hit him with a ball in the face mask. And he ended up catching it. But he, stuck it inside his face mask. And I remember watching the game thinking, why is he throwing to this guy that's been on the team for an hour? But that was Tannehill back then. When Tannehill was good, it was a spread the wealth. It was Jonnu Smith, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, Khalif Raymond. It was all of them. And last year, he was trying to spread the wealth. The problem was that the guys who he was spreading it to sucked, and he sucked, and all of a sudden
he didn't have much choice.
Just give the ball to AJ on every play. So as much as the idea is a third down, Robert Woods is going to be his guy, that's not Tannehill when he is operating at his peak efficiency. It is everybody. It is Hooper, Okonkwo, Burks, Westbrook-Akina, Phillips, Woods, Hilliard out of the backfield. That is Tannehill at his best. That's when he's confident and he is just slinging the ball. So if things are good this year, then it will be all those guys will be quote unquote Tannehill's guy because that's just how Tannehill is when he's on. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Boy, the Cleveland Browns they cannot stay out of their own way of just angering everybody, including the rest of the NFL, and apparently they're continuing it now. Tune in for Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds are at First Horizon Park at home, taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Showers and storms will continue through the evening and into the overnight. Can't rule out a few. As we head through Thursday, a pop-up storm or two could produce heavy rain. Highs will top off in the mid-80s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box store. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are the go-to spot in Nashville for the best old-fashioned, a nice relaxing cigar, and lots of high-end spirits and wine. Are cigars not your thing? No problem. We have the best ventilation system in the industry that provides a fresh, clean atmosphere for you and your friends. We are here to provide you a trendy, upscale experience in the heart of downtown. Check us out at 508 Church Street. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. Luxury redefined.
Chase McCabe.
My play didn't work for him, and the way he coached didn't work for me.
Willie Donick.
It's survival of the fittest.
And Derek Mason.
A win-win-win across the board.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company on the program. Joe Rexrode at the top of the hour. Jared versus Joe. So Ian told me about this about an hour ago, and I see it's now at the bottom of the screen on ESPN, and it's the Cleveland Browns are going to start Deshaun Watson on Friday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. After Roger Goodell came out yesterday and said that the evidence says that he's predatory and he should be suspended for the year.
Well, first of all, I mean, I think if anything proves that the Cleveland Browns don't care about that kind of conduct from Deshaun Watson, acquiring him for that much money is the first thing.
I know.
So why would they care now? Because they're only looking out for themselves football-wise.
So
they're saying the NFL's not saying that he can't start, at least not yet.
So they came out yesterday, I believe, and said that they will respect whatever the neutral or whatever the league's designee decides the Cleveland Browns will respect. Which is basically...
Well, they have no choice but to respect that.
That is kissing the ring of the other 30 owners and saying, like, hey, guys, like, if you guys pork us, then, you know, we'll have to take it.
And I'm sure they kind of expected it.
Yes. But, I mean, seriously, like, can they just stop for 1 minute with the horrible optics of how little they care?
They do not care.
I know they don't care.
They're not even going to act like they care because they're going to look at it like, hey, Deshaun's going to be our quarterback at least at some point. The NFL's not saying that he can't start in a preseason game, which I think is pretty ridiculous in and of itself. If what you did was bad enough to be suspended for at least 6 games plus, it's bad enough to be out in a preseason game, but I digress. So Cleveland's not going to say, hey, we're going to take them out. We're going to take Deshaun Watson out of the preseason game because we have standards and because we have morals. Because obviously they don't.
But just let the league just do their business and just
I wouldn't be
cause
surprised.
a problem just for once, Cleveland, please.
I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 48 hours the league says, hey.
If Cleveland decides,
do that.
we've decided we're going to do a 180 here, he's not going to play in this preseason game.
I think it'd be more so from the league than it is from Cleveland.
Boy, I tell you, that would be a flex by the league.
But they have every right.
Ches is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling on Hard Knocks. I did watch last night. Go ahead, Ches.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. Basically, I've been a Detroit fan my whole life, unfortunately. And, every fan that I talk to basically online and the Reddit forum, we got a lot of talk about drinking the Kool-Aid with Dan Campbell and what he's gathered there with all the former players as coaches. And I'm kind of wondering what your take is on that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen it done like that before in the league.
So it hit me. It hit me last night watching Hard Knocks. Thank you for your call, Ches. It hit me last night watching Hard Knocks, which I actually did, and it was fine. You know, the stuff that I think that people like that they put in there, like Aiden Hutchinson sang Billie Jean karaoke.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
But people like that.
I like the stuff where it is like them in a meeting talking about.
Of course you do.
Which guy do we really like more? Do we like Johnny or Jimmy, or how personnel decisions get made? Or that's what I like.
Well, I think a majority of people, football fans, like to see a peek behind the curtain of the locker room. I think you like to see a peek behind the curtain of what goes on at the top.
Yeah, because I know what locker rooms are like.
Since when have you played in the NFL?
I haven't played in the NFL, but I know what it's like. I've been in locker rooms before.
Well, I've been in locker rooms before too, but it's still fun to see,
I know, but it's all the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just a whole bunch of whole bunch of camaraderie.
It's all the same, right? Like, I believe that the 4 years in college that I worked in women's hoops got that out of my system, and it got like the wanting to travel.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest like these beat writers that go everywhere. TD, I think, is flying out today to go to Baltimore tomorrow.
That's a lot.
I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that. And
I think once you've done it, you realize it's not all that great.
Exactly. Like, I am not, like, TD is not interested in flying to Baltimore for a random Thursday night preseason game. Like, he'll cover the game and he'll do his job, but I can tell you, TD rather not, take a day just to go to random Baltimore. Though I think
I'm sure he's very excited.
I want to say TD covered the Ravens for a little bit.
I don't know.
Definitely that area, right?
Yeah,
the Philly, Baltimore area.
I think he's from Philly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's different. But, again, the idea of, like, traveling around and stuff, I'm not interested in that. But the locker room stuff doesn't do it. The coaching staff that the caller referred to, I was watching Hard Knocks last night, and they were talking before they got into featuring that all these guys played in the NFL. I'm like, Antoine Randall is the wide receiver coach, and Deuce Staley is the running back coach, and Aaron Glenn. I remember when Aaron Glenn was drafted by the Texans in the expansion draft from the Jets, and I don't think he ever played. I don't think Aaron Glenn or Tony Baselli ever played. And they were both the two stars that were drafted by the Texans in the expansion draft. And I was watching that yesterday. I'm like, all these guys played in the NFL. And I remember when Dan Campbell played, and I remember when Dan Campbell got elevated to head coach. And to answer the caller's question, I've never seen something like that. And just watching it, it made me a little nervous because for the Lions, again, I don't care about the Lions, but I'm watching the show, so it made me nervous because I've always believed that the best players are, generally speaking, not the best coaches. And so...
You know what they say, those who can't play.
I know.
Coach.
And so this team has all these good players.
Except Vrabel.
All these, yeah.
He's kind of a unicorn.
Mark Brunell is the quarterback's coach. When Mark Brunell was talking, I'm like, man, I haven't seen Mark Brunell since he was on ESPN like 7 years ago. I guess he's a quarterback coach. I guess this is my way of saying that I would prefer to see some more veteran, lifelong coaches on the coaching staff. Vrabel's a little bit different because Vrabel was a championship leader as a player. But I still think Vrabel needed a veteran Dean Pease on his staff when he got here.
Mm-hmm.
And that staff is all...
That's understandable.
That staff is all like a bunch of former players, and they act like former players, and the Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley yelling at each other. I mean, they were talking some serious smack when they were scrimmaging each other. And I think for viewers, it's like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, have I ever seen Todd Downing and Shane Bowen just talking smack to each other during a practice?
It'd be kind of fun.
I have not seen that. Right. It's fun for people to watch on television.
And I do wonder how much of
that's
that
what
is
good teams do.
I do wonder how much of that is done up for the cameras.
Again, that's why the cameras will never be here. I heard Vrabel or Joe talking about this morning about how at some point the Titans will be on Hard Knocks because they've never been on Hard Knocks. And I'm like, Robinson and Vrabel are the kind of guys who literally are over my dead body. Will we ever have Hard Knocks?
I feel like the Titans would rather go to London every single year.
So here's the thing, is that for Hard Knocks, either you miss the playoffs or I think it's teams that have new coaches don't have to be on Hard Knocks, and teams that missed and made the playoffs don't have to be on Hard Knocks. And I want to say it maybe made the playoffs of the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
In order to avoid being...
So that's why you have Detroit on Hard Knocks.
Right. Mandatorily selected for Hard Knocks. But normally if a team wants favors from the NFL, like a Super Bowl, and considering Super Bowl, and that we have talked a lot about the Super Bowl. I mean, if Amy and Burke Nihill, the team president, went to John and Vrabel and said, we're hosting Hard Knocks, and they said, over my dead body.
Vrabel would hate that.
They would say, no, like, for real, we're hosting Hard Knocks. Then Vrabel would have to do it. Vrabel actually, in fairness, was on Hard Knocks with the Texans when he was there and they were there.
But it wasn't necessarily his call.
Think about this, though. Who was Hard Knocks last year?
Raiders?
I don't know if it was the Raiders or not. I know that Hard Knocks in 2020.
Indy.
They were in season.
Ah.
But we'll get to them in a second. Hard Knocks in 2020. That was the Rams and the Chargers. Who hosted the Super Bowl last year?
The Rams and the Chargers.
Hard Knocks, Tannehill, when he was in Miami, was on Hard Knocks.
And then
who hosted
Miami
the 2020
hosted the
Super Bowl? Miami hosted it. The Falcons, when Mike Smith was the coach, they were on Hard Knocks. The year before, or the year 2018 Super Bowl?
2019.
Atlanta.
Yep.
So if you want to host the Super Bowl, the NFL, I mean, you got to be on Hard Knocks. And so maybe Vrabel will have to one day end up on Hard Knocks. I did enjoy Hard Knocks. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to watch every week, but I enjoyed it. Dallas did it last year.
was.
It looks like the end season's going to be Arizona.
Which is interesting
who's got
because
the Super
where's
Bowl
the
this
Super
year?
Bowl next year?
And not only that, Indianapolis was in season last year. Indianapolis every year is fighting to keep the combine. Jerry wants to move it to Dallas, to that Frisco entertainment district they have. They want to put it in L.A. where the NFL Network is headquartered at SoFi Stadium. And every year, because it's huge for Indianapolis's economy, Indy is like, we're the best place to host it, which Floyd used to talk about how the hospital is right there. And Indy's downtown is pretty compact.
Yeah.
That the hospital is right there, and that's where they do those physicals. So I do think that the logistics of Indy everybody's pretty comfortable.
The logistics of LA would be an absolute train wreck.
But the league has flirted with this for a while about having the combine somewhere else.
But what did they confirm this year?
It'll be there through 2024. So make of that what you will. Joe Rexroad, Jared versus Joe. That is next. Stillman and Company. And you know what? We'll give away some Sounds tickets later. So we'll do that as well. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, football fans. Dak Prescott here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. They see law offices of Amanda Gentry live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Joe Rexrode is with us for a little Jared versus Joe. Hello, Joseph.
Hello.
We don't get a little bit more than that. Like, hey, good to hear you. Good to.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Well, let me say this. I melted down a little bit too much last time. I was heading to a T-Pack play with my daughter. Doing it again. This time I'm not going to scare her and make her wonder what's wrong with her father, okay? That's a vow.
You know what my favorite part about Jared versus Joe is?
What?
Is that Joe hates shows like First Take and Undisputed, and here he is just like arguing like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and all those guys.
His own Undisputed.
Time now for Jared versus Joe.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
Let's get into it. First and foremost, Joe, you go first, our guest of honor.
Joe always goes. This is like baseball. The road team gets to bat first.
You talk enough. All right? You talk enough.
Just saying, it never changes.
We'll switch it up if I see fit. But for now, I do not see that fit. Joe, first and foremost, is this a new Ryan Tannehill?
No, this is not a new Ryan Tannehill. I've seen him actually yell at someone one time, which was Kyle Phillips last week. I've definitely seen him, I guess, be
Oh, no.
Joe got zapped.
There might be an immediate disqualification.
I mean, come on,
That is in the
Joe.
Jared versus Joe rule book.
Cricket right there. Come on now.
Wait. You got me?
We got
you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. It may have been a sunspot. Okay, no, it's not a new Ryan Tannehill. He's leading the same way he's led. I understand that Jared is very, very enamored with pronouns and likes to, like possessive. Don't use second person, use first person. Oh, but definitely don't do third person. Tannehill looks like the same guy as a player, leads like the same guy as a leader. I understand that there's a desire to try to see that, to find that. I've asked a lot of questions of different people about that to that effect. But I really don't think so. I really don't think there's much difference at all.
I don't know how Joe can believe this when, we had a psychiatrist text into the show and say that Ryan Tannehill has undergone an attitudinal shift, and 2, when asked about pushing the guys harder, which Joe has not seen Tannehill rip a guy's rear end like he did see Tannehill rip Kyle Phillips' rear end, Mike Vrabel said that is intentional. And then when I asked Vrabel to follow up on it being intentional, Vrabel said that it was between he, Tannehill, and Todd Downing. And that tells me that they've told Tannehill to be this way that he is this year. And that is different than in the past. I don't think Tannehill had to do this with the first crew when he took over, with Davis and Humphreys and Ferkser and Jonnu Smith and A.J. Brown and Khalif Raymond. I don't think he had to do that. And that's why I don't think he had to do it in 2020 either. But he didn't have that crew last year, and he didn't have Arthur Smith last year. And I think there was a lot of, well, I don't have great chemistry with Julio, and I'm trying to work around it. That this year the Titans have said, we don't want any of that. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, we're not doing it. So you tell us what you feel comfortable with, you tell the receivers what you feel comfortable with, and whatever you feel, we'll do. But you have to take ownership of this if we're going to do it. And he has. And I think that those pronouns of saying that guy has made plays for me is a huge difference. The way he acts, the way he talks to people. Even on Monday, I asked him, is he pushing the guys harder? He said yes. So he said it's different. Vrabel said it's different. The psychiatrist said it's different. Joe says it's not.
Yeah, Jared, I was there for both of those, those questions and answers. And it's like, yeah, sort of here's an answer for you. It was not the definitive answer out to be. I have no idea what you're talking about with a psychiatrist texting in.
Vrabel saying it was intentional was not a big deal to you, was not like a buzzword that made you say, wait a minute, this change in Tannehill has been intentional? And then he explained how the coach and the coordinator went over it with Tannehill that has forced the intentional change?
The only thing about this that I'll agree with is that the personnel is different. I would agree that it's just you're not going to come out and start barking at Julio Jones, okay? And it's also different when you come in as a backup and, you eventually overtake the quarterback. So he's had different phases of sort of how he relates to different people. But, I mean, dude, he yelled at Kyle Phillips one time. I mean, I've seen him get after people before. I've seen him yelling in the huddle during games. So the question is this a different Ryan Tannehill? Is there some intention of taking more command, or is Vrabel talking about it? Sure, that's all fine. Ultimately, he's really not fundamentally different than he's ever been. It's the same personality. It's the same player. That's what it comes down to. The only thing that is different is that the people around him, the dynamic there has changed. It's a lot younger. It's new and young.
So is that better or the same or worse?
The people around him or him?
Both.
Well, again, Tannehill is Tannehill. He's been Tannehill. He's playing the same way he played last camp before that. He's going to play as well as the supporting cast helps him.
So you think that the 2019 Tannehill that almost won a game against the Saints if Khalif Raymond didn't get decapitated by Jerome Boger's crew in the Saints, that Tannehill, who was as efficient as Joe Montana that season, was the same guy as he was last year, and that it's only the surrounding cast that's the difference?
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I think he's been roughly the same guy his whole career. He was tremendous that year. I will give you that. He also
So why was he not Joe Montana level? Why was he not Joe Montana level efficient with Jarvis Landry and Kenny Stills and Mike Gesicki and all those players in Miami?
Well, did you notice that he never, ever had a hint of a running game? Because he never did.
Odd, because I think Jay Ajayi led the league in rushing, but other than that.
The 1 year he did in 2016, Jay Ajayi had a great year. Tannehill had by far his best year. He was having an outstanding
Wait a minute, you can't say he didn't have a running game. He had Lamar Miller for all those years when they were in Miami.
You want to compare what they were doing with him to what he had here with Derrick Henry having figured himself out? Come on. He had the best running back in the league, period.
I'm not arguing that Lamar Miller was better than Derrick Henry. I'm arguing that he had a running game in Miami.
Yeah. He also had good numbers in Miami. I mean, he was a good quarterback. People think he sucked. Go back and look at his numbers.
So then why was
good.
the best he could get a backup job where he had to take a $10 million pay cut?
The Dolphins gave up on him. How many?
And all other 31 teams did too.
He had a knee. Sure. He had a knee. He had another knee. He had a shoulder. He looked like a broken-down guy on the decline. And that's why the Titans got him. It's one of the great moves John Robinson has made. When he did, what did we say? I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Tannehill, that's pretty good backup. I mean, I understand that, people had given up on him, and good for him. He's revived his career. But you can't sit here and tell me, Jared, especially after last year with all the things that went wrong, and you were so adamant, oh, no, don't make excuses. It's all Ryan. You can't seriously tell me that supporting cast hasn't had a major say in everything he's done here, good and bad.
I just think it's funny that you think that he just looks better in camp and that he looks better because of the supporting cast when you threw a freaking fit on draft night when they traded A.J. Brown.
Hey, what?
I say, you're sitting here talking about supporting cast, and it's a supporting cast. It's the supporting cast. Well, I mean, after your freaking fit on the A.J. Brown trade, I figured that his supporting cast would be so bad that you'd have to be so down on him if the only thing that matters about Tannehill is the supporting cast.
You must need some Q-tips. I haven't said a damn thing about his camp performance. I just said he looks the same. He's fine. He looks like Ryan Tannehill in camp. What are you even talking about?
Tannehill was awful last year in camp, but I don't want to rehash that. What's next?
Awful. He was awful. I don't think he completed a pass. Let's go to the tape. Tannehill, 0 completions in 2021 camp. Great analysis.
On to the next one. Jared, you go first.
Yes.
The additions of Jamarco Jones, Nicholas Petit-Frere, and Dylan Radins, Aaron Brewer at potentially right tackle and left guard. Are those the fixes that the Titans' offensive line needed?
They hope they are. I mean, this is what I struggle with. I would assume that a lot of times, like Emmitt Smith running behind those Cowboy offensive lines in the 90s, that the offensive line usually is a big part of why a good running back has success. However, everything's been mangled when Derrick Henry's been here. Conklin's been in and out of the lineup. Taylor Lewan, with PED, Saffold's been hurt some. Ben Jones gets hurt every game and then has to come back in. And then last year they had Quessenberry at right tackle. The year before they had Dennis Kelly. Taylor Lewan tore his ACL and Quessenberry played left tackle. And somehow Derrick Henry's led the league in rushing when he has been on the field over the last 3 years. So, I mean, my guess is that they can just stick whomever at offensive line and be okay. I say that, and I remember what it looked like when Jamil Douglas had to block Calais Campbell and Danico Autry in back-to-back weeks. I guess when Joe spent all last year talking about how it was the offensive line that was the problem with Tannehill, John Robinson must just disagree with it because all he did was sign a backup from Seattle who is going to be a backup here and draft a guy in the 3rd round who I think is going to start. So I guess the Titans didn't think it was the problem last year, and I guess they don't think it's going to be a problem this year. So I'll say I guess the line will be okay.
So John Robinson in the last 3 drafts has drafted a tackle in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds. And you don't think that John Robinson's moves indicate he's trying to do something with his offensive line? I don't see how you come to that conclusion. By the way, I did not say that everything last year was on the offensive line. I did not take the blame off Tannehill and put it all on the offensive line. But the biggest difference last year was the offensive line play and the protection in particular. The offensive line is the biggest concern on this team. I thought so going into camp. I think so now. And you're right that Derrick Henry has had a lot of success with different guys. But Roger Saffold, for the most part, has been in there. And Roger Saffold, by any measure, is one of the best run-blocking guards in the NFL. I'm glad you brought up 2019 because early in that season, go look at Derrick Henry's performance week after week after week early in that season. It was underwhelming to say the least.
Yeah, but Derrick Henry never plays well in September.
That's not true. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. He was incredible in week 2 last year. He basically just put them on his back. No, in 19 it was they had nothing going, and it was because of the offensive line. Without Luan, as you said, with Jamil Douglas, with Nate Davis not ready, they had a lot of issues. I think it's the biggest concern by far, and I just don't know. I mean, I think, Gentry was on our show the other day, and he said he thinks the starting right tackle of the Tennessee Titans is going to be a name we don't know that they're going to have to sign. And I don't know. I wouldn't agree with that. I think it's going to be one of those two guys competing right now. But I would agree with sort of the line of thinking that it's a real problem.
Derrick Henry, to start the 2019 season, 84 yards, 82 yards, 44 yards against that Jacksonville game, 100 yards against the Falcons. That was all with Taylor Lewan out. And I believe Dennis Kelly was playing right tackle. I want to say Conklin got hurt at the end of the 18 season. I think he tore something again for back-to-back years. I can't remember. But it hasn't mattered for Derrick Henry. If John Robinson really believes...
Well, wait, go through week 5 and 6. Yeah, he had 100 against the absolute Cheeks defense in Atlanta.
5 and 6,
his average,
78 and 28.
There you go. I mean, it was, and then you go from Tannehill on, and the average per carry, per game,
95, 75, 63. Then... Because, again, Derrick is not good at the beginning of the year. He gets better at the end. Then the last month of the year, 188, 159, 149, 103, 86, didn't play in that Saints game, and then 211 yards against the Texans to win the rushing title. Derrick is a slow starter.
Jared, he was on pace for 2,000 yards. He only played the first half last year. What are you talking about?
Just traditionally, Derrick's a slow starter. And last year, they had a backup at right tackle, and you complained all year about the offensive line. So it doesn't matter with Derrick. Now, here's the thing. I don't disagree with Gentry. But what I don't understand is why John Robinson completely ignored the offensive line in the offseason until the third round of the draft. If it's such a big deal to him.
Well,
he cut the Pro Bowler. He cut the Pro Bowler, and he waited until the third round to draft somebody.
Well, he also, but you see, you're mistaking him making bad choices with him just not caring. I mean, I think they thought they had a player when they signed Kendall Lamb last year. We thought he was going to be the starting right tackle. Bad choice. I think they thought they had a player when they signed Jamarco Jones this offseason or the free agency period. Doesn't look like a great choice right now. They drafted Dylan Raines in the second round. I think that's part of the plan here too. So, I mean, it's if you make bad choices, investing some money, and you're definitely investing draft capital, doesn't mean you're ignoring the position.
More Jared versus Joe. That's coming up next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey everybody, Willie Donick here to tell you about Trivia Night for Stars. Think you're pretty smart? Well, come on out Wednesday, August 24th to Boomba's East and test your trivia skills. I'll be your trivia master. We'll have sports questions, some non-sports questions, and some great prizes. It's brought to you by Nerdy Talk, and all proceeds support Stars and the hope, health, and connection of young people in our community. Register your team of no more than 4 and let the competition begin. Go to starsnashville.org to officially sign up. That's starsnashville.org. See you on August 24th at Boomba's East.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
Hey, it's Jared. Have you ever had a room that just won't cool down like the rest of your home? My room upstairs where I've got all the TVs always felt uncomfortable in the summer, but this year I put in a ductless mini splint from Mitsubishi Electric. This ductless style heating and cooling system allows me to set a temperature for just that part of the house, and I didn't have to remodel or install any ductwork to put it in. My friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical are experts at installing these systems. You can book your appointment in minutes online, like I do with my phone, and their techs will make sure that your new system is installed exactly how it was designed. Hiller techs are background and drug screened, and their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or services-free 100% satisfaction guarantee. If your home isn't keeping your family cool, you need to call Hiller and upgrade to a Mitsubishi Electric Zone Comfort System. This month only, take $1,200 off qualifying Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splint HVAC systems. Visit happyhiller.com today to learn more.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game.
More Jared versus Joe on the program. Joe Rexrode with us. I will be appearing on Robbie and Joe tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Adam Vingan will be in there, which has actually been pretty good. I was a little worried about Adam and Joe together, they're a little too low energy.
What are you so worried about?
I like energy. And so, anywho.
Well, Joe's got all this energy from losing all this weight.
How's that going, Joe?
First of all, I'm very offended by your entire diatribe there. Down about 12. Down about 12.
Good job, Joe.
You're down 12 pounds in a week.
I mean, believe me, there were 10 pounds that were begging to get off the island.
I think what Jared means by that is, good job, Joe. We're very proud of you.
That is not physically possible for you to lose 12 pounds of fat in a week.
Well, I mean, look, am I taking liberties with water weight? Who knows? But I'm just going with the scale, man. The scale says 12. What do you want me to do?
Joe's got the metabolism of a 6th grader.
Do you know what that means Joe's calorie deficit over the last week is?
Minus whatever 12 times 3,500 is.
42,000.
No, I play basketball every day. That's a.
You're not burning 42,000 calories over a week, Joe.
Okay, Mr. Science. You know what?
Dr. Oz.
I'm rooting for Joe. I am. But this is the stuff where this is like what Slim Fast commercials used to be back in the day.
I want Joe to be like one of those commercials that holds up his old jeans.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Advocare. The 24-day challenge. Oh, let's get on with it.
All right. Jared, you go ahead and go first for this one. What is the most important thing to look for in the first preseason game tomorrow?
So I think the most important thing to look forward to for fans is going to be Malik Willis. I think the most important thing to look forward to for the football team is going to be Caleb Farley at corner. We played that Robinson cut where he talked about Farley and McCreary. Farley looks the part. He's athletic, he's long, he's lean. I mean, he looks the part of a number one corner. and a guy who was taken in the first round as a lottery ticket to provide something that the Titans really need. And I believe that the pass rush will be good enough so that the corners, if they struggle, that could be mitigated a little bit. But I do believe that so far we've seen in camp Roger McCreary consistently, breaking up passes and all those kind of things. Caleb Farley played, I believe, in one game last year or something. Didn't really do much. They didn't totally trust him at that point. Tore his ACL. He's been out there on the field in practice. He's looked good. Sometimes he's gotten beat. Sometimes he's beat the other guy. Now he's going to go up against receivers he doesn't know. He's going to go up against an offensive system he doesn't know. And I want to see Caleb Farley, and I want to see Caleb Farley get through the game with health, because I believe the idea of Farley and McCreary on the same field with Fulton and Hooker and Byard is going to be special with that pass rush. So right now, Caleb Farley, that's my thing tomorrow.
I'm so confused. I thought corners don't matter in the NFL anymore.
They really don't. I mean, with the pass rush, even Byard alluded to that in the training camp tour interview, but somebody has to play that spot, and they want Farley to be a really good player. And so let's see Farley go out there and handle his business against a bunch of third stringers tomorrow. Malik's not going to play this year. So to me, that's not going to be bigger than Farley.
No, but I think it's still Willis all the way. Just because, look, you still invested a third-round pick in this kid, and it's still really about, during this time period, finding out, if you really think that there's a chance that down the road he could be your guy. And it's not that tomorrow he's going to give any definitive answer, but I just think he's the most interesting thing. The way that Vrabel approaches these games, I hope you're right that Farley is one of the most important things about tomorrow night, because I'm not sure he's playing. I would guess he will, but with Vrabel anymore, it just almost seems like every year it's going to be less and less that we're going to see guys that he knows he's going to have to count on that will do anything in these preseason games. It would be great. It would be great to be able to see him. And by the way, just on the Farley front, I think it's more than just he's big, fast, long, all that stuff. I really think we're seeing a guy who's learning the corner position, just the way he closes at times when they're in certain zone looks, on some of the man coverage he's provided. That Farley against Burks has been fun to watch. Farley against Woods, and he's taken some lumps too. But I really think he's turning into a guy who could be a good cornerback for this team. And I wasn't sure that would happen going into camp. But for me, number one is Willis.
So let me get this straight. Willis is the number one thing tomorrow for you because they invested a third-round pick in him compared to what they invested in Caleb Farley?
Right. I don't know that Farley's playing. And, again, the preseason game gives you a chance to actually let that guy play, I assume, a half, maybe more, tomorrow or in some of these games. You're going to let him play football. As you know, it's not quite that in camp. Farley, he's getting good reps. I mean, Farley's reps against Woods, Burks, NWI, things like that, you could argue are, better work than he's going to get against whoever he may see tomorrow night. I still think there's value. I think there's value in lights on, stadium, game setting, tackle to the ground. There's value, but the work that he's getting, I think is more valuable. And for Willis, you could argue that too, but I just think that actually playing a football game, a real series, I think as a rookie, where he is in his development, that's number one. That's the most telling thing that we're going to have tomorrow. Obviously for the fans, I mean that's not even close. But if we're going to split it, I still think for the Titans too, he's still a big question for the future.
So I think Willis is at least a good talking point, and we'll probably talk a lot about Willis tomorrow. But I believe that Treylon Burks and Caleb Farley and Roger McCreary are all going to play against the Ravens. If the Ravens have a bunch of second stringers out there, I want to watch Treylon Burks dominate. I think that's important because Treylon Burks is the number 2 wide receiver of the Titans. And so, I mean, I hear you on Malik, but Malik's not going to play this season. Burks and Farley are going to play this year, and the Titans are banking on both of them. So I think they're more important than Malik Willis. What's next?
Joe, you go first for this one. Is Jared too excited or optimistic about the Titans this season?
Fair point.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, the Tannehill stuff, like, you know, he's at like drive him out of town, kidnap him, and put him in a trunk and drive him like to Idaho in January, February, March, you know. And now all of a sudden, woo, a new Tannehill. Oh, he's not throwing picks in camp. Oh, he yelled at someone. Oh, my gosh, it's so different. Yes, Jared has gone completely overboard with the homerism, with the positivity. I'm a little confused and actually a little bit concerned by it.
So I think he's missing the boat on the Tannehill thing. My issue with Tannehill is that after the Cincinnati loss, I decided that it is impossible for the Tennessee Titans to win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. I still believe, even though I am encouraged that he has not sucked this year in training camp as much as he sucked last year in training camp and sucked last year in the regular season and sucked last year in the playoffs, I am encouraged that he has looked better. But I still don't think he wins Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. And so I haven't moved off that spot at all. I was just talking about it a lot when there was the possibility of Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or something, you know, that could come in here that would be a market improvement over Tannehill. I mean, I am getting worried that I'm too much of a homer. The only thing that makes me feel better about not being a homer is the Malik Willis stuff that got people all worked up last week when I said that he stinks right now, which is true, and you all will see tomorrow that he stinks right now, but he might be good. I don't know. That thing that got people all worked up. And also because I do feel like when I listen to Vrabel, I actually think Vrabel really, really, really likes what he's seen in training camp. And I feel like with Vrabel and Robinson, I've been around those guys long enough to know, like, as we call it, speak Vrabelese, like where if somebody has a good practice and Vrabel's really excited about it, he's not going to talk about it that day. And there's just been a lot of Vrabel not wanting to talk about stuff in the not, I don't want to talk about it because it's bad, but the, you know, we have to do the same thing tomorrow and stack all these days up. And I'm like, I think he gets really excited about that. I think Vrabel is very excited about this football team because I think they're practicing very well. But, yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm becoming too much of a homer. I'm worried about me. I am, and I'm not. This is not.
I'm worried about you, but I kind of like it.
This is not some camera stuff. Like, I am worried that by being there on a consistent basis at practice, that I am now becoming what I accuse a lot of people who cover teams of being.
Glass half full, Stillman.
Yes. Well, Zach Kiefer, who covers the Colts. I mean, this Zach Kiefer who covers the Colts, I mean, if the Indianapolis Colts let him use a toilet in the facility, he would lick it. That's how much he just is freaking all in the satchel for Indy.
Disgusting mental image.
But that's exactly what, and I'm worried that that's going to happen to me, so maybe I need to stop going to practice.
Well, complete homer bobos of certain teams like you with the Titans.
Zach Kiefer.
Always think beat writers of the teams they hate are complete homers. So this is a great sign that you're way too homer. Your commentary on Zach Kiefer right there is actually proof of how far overboard you've gone.
Oh my God!
But real quick, I will say that the Titans look like a good team. I mean,
those Indy beat writers are not homers, even though they release articles like Matt Ryan's more like Peyton Manning than you think.
Makes me want to throw up.
It's like the team PR gave him a thing and said, "Here you go."
It's like, you know, you might be a redneck if. It's like you might be a total homer if the beat writers of the team you hate, you think are the biggest homers in the world.
Maybe we need to come up with a checklist
that's
of
not
the
true,
homer
though.
checklist and
That's
see
not
how many
true,
boxes you
because
fill.
I think that the people, for the most part, not all, but some who cover the Predators are absolute homers sometimes. And again, not all, some. So I'm not saying who and I'm not saying who, not who, but I'm a Predators fan. And I think that some of the people that cover the Predators are way too homerific.
Well, just because you're not a Preds homer doesn't mean you're not a Titans homer.
And not only that, like, you think that I hate the Vols, right?
I think you hate college football, but yes.
Okay, you think I hate the Vols.
Yes.
John Adams of the Knoxville News-Sentinel will give the Vols the business, and I think he's a good columnist.
That doesn't mean that you like the Vols. That just means that you like the fact that he throws shade at the team that you don't like.
No, he just keeps it real.
He concurs with your with your opinion.
John Adams, and Joe knows John Adams is a good columnist.
I love John.
See, there you go.
What does that prove?
You think that I hate the Vols, and I don't. God, not according to Joe's feelings of the.
How many Tennessee football games will you sit down and watch this year?
Probably all of them.
Now, you are a lying liar.
Ask me about a Tennessee football game last year, and I'll tell you what happened.
Name a Tennessee offensive lineman.
Why?
Because I asked. Nope,
God.
Too late.
Wanye Morris came in, and he transferred, and there was another one. Darnell Wright.
No, he's gone. What? Who? Darnell. Okay.
Quit making up names.
They had two tackles that came in. It was like Darnell Wright and Wanye Morris that were these 5 stars for Jeremy Pruitt that were supposed to set the world on fire, and of course never did.
Yeah, and
I think one of them still.
You have to hate them. I mean, you think their fans should be punished for Schiano crap still. I mean, my God.
I think they should. So does Pat Forty. You think he's a bad columnist, Joe?
Pat Forty did not say what you said. Pat Forty said, "Here's
much worse stuff."
No. Pat Forty did not say what you said. And
Caroline,
he's a good columnist.
Who wins?
Well, I'm actually interested that whenever I asked about the most important thing for the Titans preseason game, that neither of you brought up the right tackle position because Joe loves the offensive line.
But because in order for us to get a feeling about offensive line, don't we think that Ben Jones, Nate Davis, Taylor Lewan, like that's a unit,
also
so
need
they
to
all
be
have
out
to
there
play,
as well.
And so they're not.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see, not necessarily about play, but how long are they out there? Who gets a majority of the time?
Like who starts the game right now?
Who starts? Is it going to be a split half and half?
Yeah, especially at right tackle. I mean, there are times you're just on an island. I mean, do you block the guy or do you not block the guy? It's not meaningless.
I guess I threw it off because I want to see the unit.
But is this a new Ryan Tannehill? I don't know how you can ignore Vrabel's comment about being intentional.
Attitudinal shift.
Attitudinal shift per the psychiatrist in the text line. I don't know if this person's actually a psychiatrist. I did not ask to see the credentials. It does feel different, though. Whether it's true or not, it feels different. So the win this week goes to Jared.
2 in a row.
I feel like we're both getting soft.
2 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you got some rando claiming to be Dr. Phil on the text line. My goodness. Stop it.
We are a one-source show, Joe. That is all we need. That is all we need. Joe, I will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m.
All right, thanks.
Yep,
Thanks,
Joe
Joe.
Rexroad for Jared versus Joe.
Cooper Mays.
Cooper Mays?
Tennessee center.
Is that Cade Mays' brother?
I think so. So keep that one in your back pocket for the next time someone asks you.
I know this. I know that they have like 3 spots in the offensive line they haven't figured out yet.
I don't know. I haven't been following the...
I know that because I heard one of those little weekly segments with these random writers. I don't really, whatever.
They are not random writers. They are writers that
These
you believe are random.
Writers whose names I can't remember that was on Robbie and Joe. And it was like, yeah, they got to figure out the 2 guard spots and one of the tackles. And I'm like, oh, that'll be great against Alabama. That'll be
write that one down for our next Vols discussion.
There you go. Alabama and Georgia on the schedule. We'll react to that and your phones. If you got a reaction to Jared versus Joe, 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lost it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Pink Floyd's Roger Waters. This is not a drill.
We're doing a show in the round. It's something new. I look forward to the challenge.
Featuring his songs from the golden era of Pink Floyd. Saturday, August 27th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets at rogerwaters.com. This is not a drill. Produced by AEG Presents.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith.
Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion. Trust me, I know about joint pain.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about chronic joint pain and exciting new regenerative treatments from QC Kinetics.
I know what it's like to fight through pain, but now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced, all-natural regenerative medicine that can give you lasting relief with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Do you suffer with constant pain from arthritis or injury? Pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or lower back? Don't assume steroids, pain meds, and surgery are your only options. Regenerative, restorative, natural solutions are now available.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation and learn how regenerative medicine can repair and restore damaged joint tissue.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mates.
Stillman & Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Jared versus Joe was feisty. Let's go right to your reaction. 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com unless you have a thought.
To the phones.
Phones, what do we have?
Ty checks in and says, Jared is right. Usually Derrick Henry is a slow starter. Last year was a statistical anomaly.
I mean, I think part of last year with Derrick Henry was the fact that they really didn't have any other choices, so they just ran the ball with Derrick as much as they could.
I think they realized early on enough that Ryan Tannehill sucked.
Right. I mean, it was one thing where in 2020, Derrick did, it was so different, and the Titans were throwing the ball effectively. Last year at the beginning of the year, they weren't. The two things that just amaze me about Derrick Henry. One, the offensive line doesn't matter. The offensive line, they could have the Ken Wisenhunt offensive line in front of Derrick Henry, and he would still run for 120 yards. And I cannot explain it because simple physics would tell us that if the guys who have to block for the running back can't block, then the running back should not be able to run for a lot of yards. Unfortunately,
yet he does.
For some reason, that doesn't make any sense. So I guess I struggle with that a little bit. The second thing on the Derrick Henry front is that he's a slow starter. So in order, while it'd be nice to not have to give him all these carries, it would be nice. They have to because the more he touches the football, the better he gets. And that's not just for a game, but that's for the course of a season. So I don't know why it is. Can't explain it. But whoever's on the offensive line, it could be me and Ian and Aaron Brewer, and somehow we'd be able to block for Derrick Henry. Which is, I still can't get. I also was thinking about this a little bit during the break, which in the Jared versus Joe thing, do you expect the starting offensive line to play tomorrow?
No.
So then what does the right tackle or left guard matter? I don't think they'll play Brewer. I think they'll play Radens and Petit Ferrer. But yes, I understand like the one-on-one blocking is important, but isn't every talk about offensive line about the unit as a whole, and it takes a while for those guys to gel and that.
Yeah.
So I want to see the starting offensive line against the Buccaneers in practice.
Yeah, which I think you will.
But I'm not sure that just watching a guy at right tackle. I can throw on the Ohio State tape and watch Petit Ferrer by himself in a game.
But I think it's not as much how do each of them individually look blocking. For me, it was more so, okay, are they splitting time? Is it going to be Petit Ferrer in the first half, Dylan Radins in the second half? Who gets the start? Who gets more time? I think it was more so that approach to it rather than is Dylan Radins, like, does he have his hands in the right place?
I really think that battle's over.
I think that your mind is made up.
So,
I don't know if their mind is made up.
Joe said that Gentry Estes said this on their show, which I know Gentry has said because Gentry and I have talked about this. So, and I think that after the Buccaneer practices, if John Robinson is not happy with Petit Ferrer, then they will go sign somebody or trade for somebody or something. Just like how the Jets are going to go add somebody to just serviceably play right tackle with Mekhi Becton out for the year. Mm-hmm. That they will do that after the Buccaneer practices when they get to see those guys.
Which makes sense because you're going to see the entire offensive line as a unit rather than just in a preseason game. Against backup defensive linemen.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the idea though, so the Buccaneer practices, that matters. Tomorrow, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it matters who plays first or because Jordan Roos will be out there and Corey Levin will be out there and Jalen McKenzie will be out there.
Well, apparently John Robinson loves Jordan Roos.
I mean, he threw Jordan Roos into the crew.
Twice.
So make of that what you will. We'll get back to your phones. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app, and if you want to get in on betting the NFL, Week 1 odds are out now. That's right. And now's the time to try FanDuel Sportsbook if you have not already. Get in on all the early action this season right now. FanDuel Sportsbook customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000, and they've got great futures like Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor for the rushing title. The Rams are plus 1,100 to repeat. Do not take the Rams or the Patriots, in my opinion. And win totals and everything else, I think, are out there as well. Just sign up using the promo code JGM. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you do not win. There's no better place to get ready for the football season than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code JGM to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only, and refund is issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840.
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
And he has added players that do fit.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Showers and storms will continue through the evening and into the overnight. Can't rule out a few. As we head through Thursday, a pop-up storm or two could produce heavy rain. Highs will top off in the mid-80s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 10th, we're running a one-day end-of-summer special you won't want to miss out on. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. We can now effectively treat your ED without any pills. If you're ready to transform your love life, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that, guys. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, worth $1,000, but call today Wednesday and qualify totally free. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 615-576-5000.
Now's the time to make a message known. All working-class Tennesseans vote no on Amendment 1 this voting season. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Hardworking families deserve to have their needs addressed in today's economy. Visit TennesseeWorkerAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
Why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because our Sleep Number 360 smart bed is really smart. It senses your movement and automatically adjusts to help keep you both comfortable. Plus, it's temperature balancing so you stay cool. It's even smart enough to know exactly how long, how well, and when you slept. Our smart sleepers get 28 minutes more restful sleep per night. Sleep Number takes care of the science. All you have to do is sleep. It's the biggest sale of the year where all smart beds are on sale. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I'm at least doing some good things. He had a good spring. I think that he's articulating the play well in the huddle, which, I don't know how much he had to do a whole lot of that at Liberty with an up-tempo offense. So, that's one thing that a quarterback, a lot of these up-tempo teams, when they don't have to hear a play, get in the huddle, call a play, that's new for him. And, he's done a good job of that. I think the overall decision-making that he's, kind of progressed through and the decisions that he's made have been the right ones. It's about, just a little quicker on the timing, pull the trigger a little quicker here, make this, go with the ball over here, just a little quicker with the decision-making process. But he's athletic. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's got a really strong arm. He's made some really good throws. I think the 7-on-7 stuff has been probably more of his more impressive periods, if you will.
Malik Willis will be a focal point on Thursday, tomorrow night against the Ravens. He'll play a lot. I don't know how much, when, how much will Logan play. I know Tannehill will not play. How much will Malik play? I don't know tomorrow night. But the thing that's funny about playing quarterback and there being a timing issue, as John Robinson was talking about there, it's kind of like driving. If somebody's not a good driver and they're out on the road, they can get somebody killed.
Mm-hmm.
If the quarterback in a real game has serious timing issues, and, Traylon Burks might be out there with Malik Willis, let's all hold our breath. That's just my thought on it. I don't want anything bad happening. I hate to say that. I'd rather have something bad happen to Des Fitzpatrick than Traylon Burks.
Don't stop it.
But I definitely don't want anything bad to happen to Traylon Burks out there on the field.
I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone.
And I worry about some of these passes Malik's thrown in practice and about what might happen to some of those players. I'm just saying.
Knock on all the wood.
What do we have on the text line?
Maddie texts in and says, I'm watching the right tackle position for sure, but I'm super interested in the receivers beyond Nick Westbrook-Akina, specifically Kyle Phillips.
So I do wonder who all's actually going to play. I would guess that McMath, Phillips, and Burks will play.
Can we go ahead and assume that all the rookies are going to play? McCreary, Phillips, Petit Frere.
Yeah.
Traylon Burks.
Okonkwo. Yeah.
Malik Willis.
It goes back to that practice that we were at where, Tannehill, Byard.
Hassan Haskins.
Tannehill, Byard, Simmons, Henry, Lawan, that crew was not practicing. It was, 30 minutes on that far field.
It was a long period.
Of 11 on 11. And again, Byard, Simmons, Autry, Landry.
Robert Woods.
Tannehill. Zach Cunningham.
Yeah.
Those guys weren't there. And it was all everybody else. And this was about a week ago. And I turned to everybody. I'm like, that's the Baltimore crew that's out there. At least that's how I felt at the time. The right tackle, it's just hard for me when whoever is playing right tackle is not going to be playing next to Nate Davis And that's who's going to be playing right guard when the games matter. Whereas next week, and I know the fans don't get to watch this because they're not televised, but next week, when Vita Vea and the Buccaneers defensive line comes in here, Nate Davis will be at right guard, and I guess Petit Ferrer one day will be at right tackle, and Radens will be at right tackle another day. If Radens is not at right tackle one of those 2 days, then the answer is clear. Then it is obvious that they think that he's not very good.
You mentioned an interesting name there, Caroline Haskins. Since we don't see much from the run game during the practice, do you think we'll see more from the running backs during the preseason game? Will we be able to tell more?
So I already know who this year's Skip Hicks, DeJuan Hicks, Mekhi Sargent award winner is going to be this year.
Hassan Haskins?
Nope. Julius Chestnut.
Oh, yeah.
No Wilkins?
No Wilkins. He'll run some, but Julius Chestnut will be the
Best name on the
DeJuan
roster.
Hicks. He will be the DeJuan Hicks MVP of the non-important. Remember last year when Joe was like, I think Mekhi Sargent should make the team. I think Mekhi Sargent can play a big role for this team. And then when Derrick Henry got hurt, they still didn't add Mekhi Sargent to the team.
Yeah, it was Kari Blasingame.
It was
Deontay Foreman. Adrian Peterson.
All of them. And they never once thought about Sargent. And Joe was just like, oh, I think Sargent. And every time I think about somebody who runs the ball well in training camp and preseason, it used to be DeJuan Hicks, who I used to always think about, who was the darling because he played at MTSU. And he was the darling of that 2003 training camp. And he ended up making the team, and they got cut like 3 weeks later. And I've always think of that. And I think about Joe talking about how much he loved Sargent last year. And I remember thinking, like, Joe, this guy is like DeJuan Hicks all over again.
Where is Mekhi Sargent these days?
So I'm glad you asked.
Oh, okay, great.
So I'm watching the Hall of Fame game Thursday night.
Oh.
And Mekhi
See,
Sargent's running the ball for Jacksonville in the Hall of Fame game.
All
so
right.
I definitely thought about it that way. I forgot to give these out earlier, so let's go ahead and do it. We got a family 4-pack of tickets to see the Sounds taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves at First Horizon Park on Sunday. Be caller 5 at 615-737-1025, and you are going to the game. And not only are you going to get a 4-pack of tickets to watch the Sounds take on the Braves AAA team, which is great, but I am throwing out the first pitch on Sunday. So you'll be winning 4 tickets for that as well.
Don't bounce that ball.
Caroline will be rocking and rolling on the midday tomorrow, so she will see you at 10 a.m. I will see you at 2. ESPN Radio's next.